yanked it from the wall. Then Kashino handed off the power cord along with that hat they had found to crime scene technicians who prepared these items to be transported back to the crime lab to be swabbed for DNA. 2 days after Larry's murder, the whole community of Hamburg was still frightened because the killer had not been caught. But by this time, the yellow police tape had been pulled from the perimeter of the Toys R Us, and the store was now open for business and crowded with customers. Police also released the surveillance video and images of the baseball cap to the news media on the off chance that somebody in the area might recognize the killer's walk or maybe the clothing they were wearing. Meanwhile, back at the crime lab, technicians had swabbed the DVR power cord and the Florida Gators baseball cap, and they were able to develop what they believed was the killer's DNA profile. They uploaded that DNA profile into CODIS, which is the federal DNA database with loads and loads of DNA profiles. However, after it was uploaded, there was no match. So at this point, the investigators, which now included the FBI, made it their main objective to collect DNA samples from every employee of the Hamburg Toys R Us store, both current employees and former employees, because many, if not all of these people, would not be in the CODIS database. And remember, the leading theory at this point is that, Larry was killed by potentially an active employee or a former employee, somebody with access to this building and an understanding of where the cameras were. And so over the course of the next few weeks, investigators developed a list of Toys R Us past and present employees and also other people connected to Larry and began making contact with them. Police interviewed literally hundreds of people, and not one person they talked to could think of anyone who would have done this. Seemingly nobody had any issues with Larry Wells. And on top of that, it was like nobody had one unkind thing to say about him. He seemed universally loved. But there was one piece of information that surfaced from a witness who had been near the Toys R Us in the early hours of the morning that Larry was killed. And that person recalled seeing a black Chevy Impala sedan parked inside the toy store's parking lot at that time. Now, this Toys R Us, despite having loads of cameras, did not have any dedicated exterior cameras, so there were no images of this vehicle, and this witness did not get a license plate number for the car. Police also could not immediately trace a black Chevy Impala to any of the Toys R Us employees. And so, while some members of the investigative team searched for this car without much to go on, others continued to track down and collect DNA swabs from current and former employees of the Hamburg Toys R Us, and they ended up with a total of 47 DNA samples. It would take several weeks for each DNA profile to be processed by the crime lab, but finally, in mid-August, a month and a half after Larry's murder, the results from all 47 DNA tests came in. And none were a match, meaning not one of those current or former employees had a DNA profile that matched the DNA profile from the hat and the power cord found inside of the crime scene. Detective Kashino and his team were frankly shocked. They expected there to be a match here, but now they just felt lost. It was like months of work had gotten them nowhere. And so once again, they turned to the FBI for help. And they asked the Bureau to draw up a psychological and personality profile of the killer. And so the FBI created that profile and then began reviewing recent arrests in the upstate New York area, and they would find one person who matched their profile almost exactly. The man's name was Patrick Walden, and he had recently been arrested in a neighboring town, and he had just been released from jail. And Kashino soon learned that the vehicle Patrick was driving when he was arrested was registered to his girlfriend's mother, who happened to be an employee at the Hamburg Toys R Us where Larry Wells was killed. And perhaps even more importantly, Kashino discovered that when police searched that vehicle at the time of Patrick's arrest, inside of the car, they found a very long knife. Detective Kashino and the rest of the investigation now considered Patrick to be their primary suspect. He had a connection to the Toys R Us through his girlfriend's mother, he'd been in possession of a weapon that was at least similar to the one used to kill Larry, and he fit the FBI's profile of the killer. So Kashino quickly secured a warrant to put around-the-clock surveillance on Patrick. And on an afternoon, not long after that, an undercover cop tailed Patrick as he drove through town. The undercover cop made sure to stay far enough back not to draw any attention, and he followed Patrick for several minutes, almost at a leisurely pace. Then the cop noticed Patrick's driver's side window roll down, and And so sensing an opportunity here, the cop sped up a bit and leaned forward in his car to get a better look inside of Patrick's car, and he saw Patrick throw something out of the open window onto the street. Now, the cop had no idea what it was, but there was no way he was going to miss this opportunity. And so instead of continuing to trail Patrick, the cop pulled over to the side of the road, got out, he walked into the middle of the road, being careful of oncoming traffic, and he began looking at the ground for whatever it was Patrick threw, and he couldn't believe his luck, because right there in the middle of the road was a still smoldering cigarette butt, something Patrick had just been smoking. And so it would definitely have a sample of Patrick's DNA on it. And so the undercover cop slipped on a pair of gloves, he crouched down, picked up the butt, carefully extinguished it, dropped it into an evidence bag, and headed back to his vehicle. The cigarette butt was sent to the crime lab for processing, and Detective Kishino and his team thought that was going to be a huge break in the case. But as with all the other DNA samples police had collected to that point, Kishino knew it would still take weeks before test results.
I think we're good.
And during that time, the local news started running stories about how the investigation still hadn't caught the killer, and about how people in the community were tense, feeling as though anyone among them could be the killer. And on top of that, Larry's widow was now more than 5 months pregnant with the couple's second daughter, who would be born without a father. And Larry's widow and the rest of Larry's family feared that the investigation was really losing momentum. And so Kishino was feeling a ton of pressure to crack this case. So while he and his team waited for DNA results on the cigarette butt, they went back to the beginning, viewing their case files and looking for anything they might have overlooked. And it was at that point that investigators realized there was still one Toys R Us employee on their list that they actually had not obtained a DNA sample from. In fact, every time they had contacted this particular employee to request a sample, this person had an excuse as to why it wasn't a good time. They were either out of town, attending a family event, or just feeling under the weather. And the more time that passed, the more it seemed like this employee was actually deliberately trying to avoid giving their DNA sample. So detectives reached out to this person again and said, hey, we got to do this sample. But once again, the employee said, no, it was not a good time. They said they were still very distraught over everything that had happened. And so for the time being, they had gone to stay at their father's house, so they were not around to give the sample. Kishino and his team believed that they had already been patient enough with this employee, and that the employee's evasiveness was really starting to look quite suspicious. So the investigators located this employee's father's house, and they drove out there hoping to basically force this employee to give a DNA sample. And so the investigators made their way out to this house, they parked outside, got out of their vehicles, and began walking up towards the door. And as they passed by a car that was parked in the driveway, one of the investigators stopped in his tracks. He called out to the others and waved them over to the car he was next to, and then he pointed to something on the rear bumper. It was a Florida Gators bumper sticker. And remember, there was a Florida Gators hat found in the crime scene. That's where the DNA sample was being pulled from. When Kishino saw this, he felt a jolt of excitement. He felt like this could be a big break. And so he and the others walked up to the front door and they knocked, and the employee they were trying to get this DNA sample from answered, appearing very surprised to see the investigators at their father's house. But Kishino was very disarming, and he apologized for bothering them. He said, look, I know this is not a good time, but the police department really needs to get their DNA right now, just so they can eliminate them from the suspect pool. The employee nodded and said they understood, and then Kishino handed them a swab and asked them to please put it in their mouth and swab their cheek. The employee did that and handed the swab right back, and Kishino dropped it into a plastic vial and sealed it inside. The investigators thanked the employee, then they returned to their vehicles and drove back to the station. Once there, they handed over the swab to the crime lab, but they knew, just like with the Patrick Walden swab and all the others, they would have to wait weeks before this result would come back. While they waited, no major new leads developed. The only thing that came up was investigators learned that Isaac, the employee whose anxiousness had raised suspicions right after the murder, quit his job at Toys R Us, but that didn't really lead the police anywhere. Then finally, in the middle of October, DNA test results came back for Patrick Walden, who had thrown that cigarette butt out the window that the undercover had found, and also for the final Toys R Us employee that police had to go to his father's house to collect that swab for. And one of those two DNA profiles would be a match for the DNA that was found on the Florida Gators hat and the security DVR power cord. And so, more than 3 months after Larry Wells was murdered, Detective Kishino and his team now knew what happened inside the Toys R Us on that Saturday morning in June. and they knew the identity of that figure in the grainy surveillance footage. Based on interviews, DNA samples, and evidence collected throughout the investigation, the following is a reconstruction of what police believe happened at the Toys R Us on June 29, 2013. In the dark, early morning hours, the killer drove a black Chevy Impala into the Toys R Us parking lot. They parked the vehicle and then just sat there, scoping out the closed store and planning their entry. After a few minutes, the killer pulled a scarf around their face to conceal their identity. They grabbed their knife off the passenger seat and then got out of their car and walked up to the Babies R Us entrance on the side of the store. The killer walked up to the entrance and then kind of jostled at the door for about 30 seconds until they got it open, and then they went inside. Once inside, they very carefully walked along the walls, ducking behind shelves and doing their best to hide from the store surveillance cameras. The killer eventually reached the manager's office. They walked inside and closed the door behind them. The killer then walked over to the DVR surveillance system and pulled the power cord out of the wall, disabling all the cameras in the store. 15 minutes later, store manager Larry Wells entered that very same office and right away saw the killer crouched over, attempting to open up the store safe. The killer heard Larry enter and they wheeled around and immediately held up their knife and demanded Larry come over here and open the safe. But Larry, instead of doing that, just reached for the phone to call for help. But at the same time, the killer lunged at Larry and the two men began to struggle. Larry tried desperately to push the killer off of him, but the killer began swinging their arms wildly, at one point stabbing Larry in the shoulder. And when that happened, Larry stumbled forward, and the killer at that point just raised the knife again and brought it down into Larry, stabbing him in the left side of his chest. Larry screamed out in pain and then collapsed into the chair. The killer just stood there for a second, shocked at the sight of Larry now bleeding profusely from the stab wound they had just inflicted on him. And so the killer, who was starting to panic, just forgot about the safe and just turned and ran out of the office, not realizing their baseball cap had fallen off during the attack. Once out of the office, the killer slipped through the store unseen and rushed back outside. They got back into their Impala, sped out of the parking lot, and tossed the knife into a dumpster as they fled the scene. Back in the manager's office, Larry Wells was slipping in and out of consciousness. But in one of his conscious moments, he did manage to trip the store alarm. However, despite that alarm going off, Larry would lay there bleeding for nearly an hour before he was finally discovered and help was called. But unfortunately, by that point, it was already too late. For months, detectives had dealt with one DNA test after another that did not match the hat or the DVR cord. But they did finally get a match from that last employee they had tested. That employee was Bernie Grusha, the regional vice president of loss prevention for Toys R Us, and the same man who had assisted investigators with the security footage. He literally watched himself maneuver through the store, eventually committing a murder while he sat there with police.
That's crazy.
On October 16th, 2013, police arrested Grusha and charged him with the murder of his friend and employee, Larry Wells. Investigators served a search warrant on Grusha's home, and what they found in the garage of the house brought them much closer to understanding his motives. Police found over $200,000 in stolen Toys R Us merchandise. And what the investigation would soon uncover is that Bernie Grusha, who had been hired to protect Toys R Us assets, was actually robbing Toys R Us blind. He had stolen merchandise from numerous Toys R Us stores in New York and Pennsylvania, and he was then reselling this merchandise on eBay to help chip away at his mountain of debt while continuing to live a lifestyle that was way beyond his means. Investigators learned that his wife became fed up with Grusha's reckless spending, and she also discovered that he was cheating on her, and so their marriage was falling apart. And just 3 weeks before Larry Wells' murder, Grusha had this argument with his wife, after which he left the room, ran upstairs, entered the master bedroom, got out his 9mm Beretta pistol, and fired it. And his wife ran upstairs and found her husband lying face down on the floor, thinking he must have killed himself, and so she frantically ran to him and turned him over, at which point he looked back at her, completely unharmed, and told her he just wanted to test her and see how she'd react. His wife reacted by calling the police, who quickly showed up, confiscated the gun, and placed Grusha under arrest on charges of criminal possession of a weapon and harassment. His wife then filed a protection order, and so Grusha could not return to the house that he shared with his family. So he went to live with his father as his life continued to fall apart. Grusha had reached a point of total desperation by the time he parked the black Chevy Impala in the Toys R Us parking lot that morning in late June, before taking the life of a man he had hired and considered his friend. It turned out Grusha had rented that black Chevy Impala, and when he arrived back at the store later to assist investigators, he was driving his own car. But police were able to trace that rental car back to him, which further solidified their case. Investigators also discovered that Grusha had actually used his key to unlock the Babies R Us store. He had simply pretended to be prying it open for the security cameras, because he figured that would point investigators to a lower-ranking employee or someone who did not work at the store at all. Grusha eventually admitted to everything he had done in exchange for a reduced sentence. He claimed he did not intend to kill Larry Wells that morning.
I mean,
that
I
he had
won't
gone in
kill
there
it.
to commit a
I don't
robbery,
think I'll
and
kill it,
things
right?
had simply got out of control, and he had stabbed Larry while flailing
No, we
about
won't
with his
kill
knife
it,
in his
but-
hand. Prosecutors knew there was no way they could prove intent, so they ended up reducing the murder charge to just first-degree manslaughter. And so Bernie Grusha pled guilty and was sentenced to a minimum term of 25 years in prison.
I can't even attack. That's the wrong energy. It's okay. We have here.
Thank you for listening to the MrBallen podcast. If you enjoyed today's story and you're looking for more bone-chilling content, be sure to check out all of our studio's podcasts. Not just this one, but also MrBallen's Medical Mysteries,
we need to
Bedtime
draw.
Stories, Runful,
We need
and
something.
Wartime Stories. To find them, all you have to do is look up Ballen Studios on any podcast platform, and boom, you'll find them all. If you want to watch hundreds more stories just like the one you heard today, head over to our YouTube channel, which is just called MrBallen. So that's going to do it. I really appreciate your support. Until next time, see ya. Hey Prime members, you can binge 8 new episodes of the MrBallen podcast 1 month early and all episodes ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. And before you go, please tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at wondery.com/survey.
Ever wanted to stay on vacation longer? Us too. With Verbo's long stay discounts, you can stay longer and save more on select properties. Gotta love a win-win. Book the perfect summer getaway today
and I
with
need
Verbo
balls.
Private Vacation Rentals.
I don't need this to need
thank you
these,
later.
but I also need Prime Catcher, so I can't do it, bro.
Hey Prime members, you can binge 8 new episodes of the
I
MrBallen
can't do it.
podcast
Fucking
1 month
shit,
early and all episodes ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Hello fans of the Strange, Dark, and Mysterious. MrBallen here.
Why is it so difficult, bro?
About my other podcast
I've never
called
played
MrBallen's
Raging Bolt
Medical
really, so
Mysteries, where
it's
I
a little bit
tell
of
guest
like a
medical
new match
mysteries.
for me. Don't
Well,
tell me he's
today
running.
on
Don't
this
tell me he's
podcast,
running
I'm gonna
Dragapult,
share with you one of my
Dragapult
favorite
Entei,
episodes from my Medical Mystery
Charizard.
show. It's
Maybe
called
I don't know.
Person
I don't know what he's trying to
It's
play,
got
but
one heck of an ending.
there's no need for
It's about
that
a family
energy in a
Italy that for
Charizard deck.
centuries is hit with one tragedy after another. Now, local legend suggests that this
Okay,
family
that's
was
not a
cursed,
KO.
which
At
seemed
least
like
I'm
sort of
good.
a catch-all way of saying the family was just very unlucky.
That's no KO.
However, by the end of this nightmarish episode, you might actually believe that this family really was cursed. If you enjoyed today's special medical mystery episode, well, you're in luck because you can go binge dozens and dozens more.
I can use
medical
Sada
mysteries
anyways
right
though
now
because I don't have
for free.
energy. I
Just
can't
look up
discard
Mr.
energy
Ballen's Medical Mysteries
unless I
wherever you
get
podcasts,
Radiant
and boom, you're
Charizard.
in. Also, if
Radiant
you want,
Charizard,
you can listen to Mr.
discard
Ballen's Medical
energy.
Mysteries early and ad-free on Amazon Music,
Right?
or by joining
Yeah.
Wondery Plus in the Wondery app.
I could kill
or on Apple
Charizard so
Podcasts.
easy with
Okay,
Overpawn,
enjoy this
but jeez, it's so hard to do that play.
In the summer of 1983, a middle-aged Italian man held his mother's hands as they swayed about on a dance floor.
What do we do here? Do
His
we
mother was in
go?
her 90s and was not able to get out very much, so this was an extremely
Yeah,
special
we're gonna
occasion.
do it. We're gonna do it. We're
This
gonna.
particular dance floor was on a cruise ship sailing
We're
on
gonna go
the
here.
Mediterranean Sea. It was an unbelievable experience. He knew they
We're
would
gonna
never forget.
attack it, just so we
Then a
can.
slow song came on, and as they danced together,
So we can
the
use
man began to feel
Sada
really
next.
hot.
Excuse me, next
Sweat
turn.
ran down his chest and underneath his tuxedo jacket. His hair stuck to his neck.
That was
Touched
not
his
the best
forehead.
play,
His
but
hand came
we
away
gotta
wet.
do something. I was not trying to put
He'd be right
Ante
back.
up
And then he left the
either.
dance floor, took off his jacket, and walked to the cruise deck, hoping the ocean breeze would cool him down.
If I put Ante,
But when he
I
got up
didn't
there,
I was not gonna KO it.
and instead he just
And
kept on
then
sweating
Charizard would have been
until his dress
fresh
shirt was
with another
completely
Charizard up
drenched.
here too. So
The man finally just ran to a bathroom in one of the cruise ship's long hallways, and he ran right over to the sink, turned on the cold water, and splashed it on his face. But when he looked up at his reflection, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Not because of how much he was sweating, but because when he looked at his eyes, he could see his pupils had shrunk to 2 tiny pinpricks. Suddenly, he knew exactly what was wrong. He stared at his sweaty reflection and told himself he would go back
I don't know
out
who
there on the
uses
dance
this
floor.
card right
He
now.
would enjoy this night with his mother. He had to make every second count.
I don't know.
Because
It's
he
a
was
good
certain
card
he
though.
would be
It's
dead
definitely a good card,
within a
but you know, when you have a big hand, not now. I didn't need neither of them.
From Ballen Studios and Wondery, I'm MrBallen, and this is MrBallen's Medical Mysteries, where every week we will explore a new baffling mystery originating from the one place we all can't escape, our own bodies. If you like today's story, please take the follow button on a 70-hour cross-country road trip and insist on only listening to Christmas music the entire time. This episode is called The Curse of Veneto. On a spring evening in 1978, a 48-year-old man named Silvano walked through the doors of a grand Italian palazzo. Silvano was in this big, gorgeous house to celebrate someone's birthday, though he wasn't exactly sure whose birthday it was. This wasn't unusual.
Hopefully we get a nest ball or
He came
something.
from one of the
We
most
got an ultra
prominent
ball,
families
but
in
we
the
do this
Veneto
card.
region, so his
2
calendar
Pokemons
was
we
often
need.
packed with all kinds of galas and parties and charity events. And he never passed up an opportunity to slick back his bright red hair and dress in his favorite tuxedo. As Silvano made his way to the bar, he noticed people looking at him and whispering to each other. He tried not to pay any mind to it.
Do we
Everyone in
go
his family
here?
was the subject of gossip and rumors. It was something he'd grown up with his entire life. So Silvano ignored the chatter while he got his drink and then went to join some friends.
Did I use a
While they
boss
talked,
already?
he
No,
caught the
right?
eye of
No,
a beautiful
no,
woman
no
across
boss.
the room.
So I can get rid of the
And
boss.
instead of turning away or whispering to her friends, the woman smiled. Silvano smiled back. He'd always had a lot of success with dating.
I
and he
KO'd
loved the
last
bachelor
turn, right?
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So he
So I confess.
excused himself from his friends and began walking in the woman's direction. But before he reached her, somebody grabbed his arm. Silvano turned to see who it was, and he saw it was his niece's husband, Ignazio. He was out of breath, his hair was a mess, and his clothes were totally disheveled, and he told Silvano that something was terribly wrong with Silvano's sister. Silvano kept a calm expression on his face, but inside he was panicking, because he knew exactly what was wrong with his sister. He told Ignazio to bring him to his sister right away. The 2 men hurried off out of the party.
I need to score
About
2
half
energies.
an hour later,
So we're gonna
Silvano
go.
was by his sister's bedside.
Gonna go here.
She was curled up in her pajamas, totally drenched in sweat. Silvano bent
Yeah,
down
here.
to ask how she was feeling, and when she turned to look at him,
Right?
her pupils
That's a
were
KO.
so small he could barely
140.
see them.
Yeah.
She stared in his direction for a moment, and then just shook her
Yikes,
head.
man.
Tears slowly filled
Yikes.
Silvano's eyes. He knew what that look meant. His sister had been struck by the family
Yeah,
curse.
that's good because I can bring back Sada
A
boss.
few months later,
Right.
in early 1979,
It's not the best, but
Silvano
Sada
and the
boss,
rest of his family
I think it's
stood at
what
his
we
sister's
want.
grave for her funeral.
Not really.
His mother
Do we
gripped
bring
his
both
arm,
both
sobbing into
Sadas
his
back?
chest.
Right?
The priest performed the eulogy.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Silvano was stricken with grief as well, but now his eyes were
Let's
dry.
just do this is
He felt like he'd been
bench
mourning his sister ever since that
Pokemon.
night when he found out she was sick. He
20,
just didn't have any more tears to cry.
20, 40,
He
60,
held tightly onto his mother, doing his best to offer her comfort. He whispered to her that there
80,
was nothing
100,
anyone could have done.
140, 140
After all,
damage. That's
nobody
not enough
survives
to
the family
KO me.
curse. At this, Silvano's mother snapped her head up, glaring at him with red-rimmed eyes. She hissed at him to never speak of that again. Otherwise, he, Silvano,
But I
struck
could-
by this curse
what I could
that
do
had
is-
just killed his sister and had killed his father, his grandfather, and countless other relatives dating all the way back to the 1700s. Silvano apologized, and his mother nodded. Then she nestled her head back into his chest.
Yeah, like I don't understand.
Silvano
Like why they
spent the
trying to
rest of the
play?
funeral in stoic silence.
I've had this happen
As his
twice
sister's
today.
casket
They
was
trying to
lowered
play
into the
Dragon
ground,
Ball
Silvano couldn't help
with
picturing what his
Charizard
own
so
funeral would
hard,
take.
bro. Like
This
they
curse
trying to force
inevitably
it so
killed
bad
him.
for no reason. I don't understand why they're doing it either. Like they're trying to force the play, and it's
After
like
his sister
it's not
died,
good, bro.
Silvano
It's not
threw
good.
himself
Ah,
completely into his
yikes,
work. He
yikes,
managed a very successful construction company
yikes.
and spent all his time
Jesus,
organizing
it's okay.
projects and
We
visiting
might get
job
Sada
sites.
here.
One of his remaining living sisters, who lived with Silvano, had to
But
constantly remind
yikes,
him
bro.
to eat and drink.
Yikes.
And then whenever he had a social event, she had to remind him to attend it. For the next few years, that was what Silvano's life was like. Basically work 24/7. But by 1983, 4 years after his sister had died, Silvano was completely exhausted. He knew he needed a break. So that summer, he decided to surprise his mother with a cruise on the Mediterranean
So
Sea.
we're gonna go.
Turn out, it would be just what he needed. The warm air was invigorating, and every evening there was a new
To
party.
thin the
for
deck
Silvano
out
to
a little
attend.
bit. We're gonna go
But on the last night of the cruise,
Here.
disaster struck. Silvano was dancing with his mother when he suddenly felt overheated.
here, right?
He could feel his skin sticking to the shirt underneath his tuxedo jacket. His mother pulled away from him and asked if he was
1, 2,
okay,
3,
and
4,
Silvano
5,
nodded and said he
6,
was fine.
7,
He just needed
8,
to go cool off.
9.
Silvano's
Do we go
pulse
for
raced
it?
as he ran to the
Right?
bathroom. He
Do
knew
we go
this
for the
was not just
Pokestop?
a simple case of overexerting himself. And when he looked into the mirror, his pinprick-sized pupils confirmed his worst fear. The family curse
Gonna
had
go
indeed
here.
come for him too.
Attach the
All
energy
too
there.
familiar with what happened
See
next.
what we can do.
First, he would stop being able to
Okay,
sleep.
so we can
His mind
go.
would begin to deteriorate, and he'd lose his grip on reality, and then shortly after that,
Yikes!
he
I
would
should have. I should have.
and there
I
was
should
nothing
have.
anyone could do about it.
Would have had the energy back in my hand.
After the cruise was over,
Yikes.
Silvano considered telling his mother and sister that he very likely had been
Yikes.
afflicted by the family curse, but ultimately he decided against it. There was nothing they could do to stop this curse from killing him, and so he just didn't want them to worry. But it was very difficult for Silvano to hide his symptoms from his family, especially his sister who lived with him. He kept having to change clothes because he sweated through them so quickly. He rarely made eye contact with her because he didn't want her to see his pupils, and at night when he laid in bed unable to sleep, he was too scared to get out of his bed and do anything because he
That's a
was worried
KO,
his
right?
sister would
Yeah,
hear him
I think that's a
walking
KO.
around. About 6
I
months
think
after
so.
the cruise, Silvano sat at his desk in his home office.
I think
He'd been
so.
avoiding going to
Yeah,
work
that's a
in
KO
person
right there.
because he didn't want anyone to notice
Because
his
I think it's
illness.
210.
The clock read 3 p.m., but Silvano had already
Yeah.
put in a long day
Yeah, I do need
because
it.
he'd been up working since 4 o'clock that morning.
All the
Even
energy
though he'd
needs
been
to
working
go.
for 11 hours straight, Silvano did not feel tired. He just felt hot. He grabbed a piece of paper off his desk and used it to fan himself. Silvano knew the curse
210
was
is
only going to
210.
get worse, but there really wasn't
Yeah,
anything he
so
could do
I
to
needed
stop
it. I needed it
So
04.
he figured,
I needed
why
it
worry
04.
about it?
Okay, we're good.
He didn't
We're
even
good
call a
here. We're good
doctor.
here.
He'd rather keep trying to live his life than cry.
I wish it
over
was a
something he
Sada
couldn't
though,
change.
but
Just then, Silvano's sister rounded
alright.
the corner.
He gets the
into his
KO
office.
here,
He
and then I could
immediately
get.
dropped the paper, hoping she had not noticed him fanning himself, and she asked if he was going to take a break to eat. But he told her he was just too busy. She stood there staring at him. You could tell she didn't believe him. Finally, she sighed.
I could grab. I could grab
For a
these
second,
two,
Silvano thought
right?
about
I could
getting
grab
up
these
and following
two.
her down the hall and letting her in on his declining health. But before he could, his phone rang, so he answered.
Yeah, I feel like I can
It was
grab
his
these
niece's
two.
husband,
Leave the
Ignacio.
energies.
He asked Silvano if he'd come over for dinner.
Oh
that
nah, I
evening.
need to grab one of these.
Silvano didn't have any other plans, so he said.
Oh wait,
sure.
I got an ice stretcher. I'm good.
Silvano
I'm
hung
good.
up the phone and pushed the stack
I have
of
an ice
papers
stretcher,
aside
so I
and
can
stood
grab
up.
leave.
He'd already sweat through all of his clothes, so
fighting
he needed
type.
to shower and change. He quietly opened his office door and tiptoed to his bedroom, being extra careful not to make any noise, in fear that his sister might come find him and see his drenched clothing. Silvano
Right?
hated having to
Yeah,
sneak through the
I
house,
can do that.
but he didn't know what else to do. He promised himself that he would tell
Does he
his
not
sister what
have
was going
the
on
short
as
serve
soon
plate?
as he could find the right words. That evening, Silvano arrived at Ignacio and his niece Elisabeta's house.
No, he doesn't.
Red hair neatly brushed and a pocket square tucked into his suit.
He doesn't
Silvano
have
shook
that
Ignacio's
plate.
hand and gave Elisabeta a hug.
Okay, so
He
what
kept
we
a smile
can
on
do
his
is.
face, but as he did, he worried they would see how
Um,
sweaty he already was. As they led him down the hallway to the kitchen, Silvano caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror.
Okay, so we're gonna go.
He'd done everything he could to clean up, but there was just no hiding the sweat on his brow, or the dark circles under his eyes, or his tiny, tiny pupils. Silvano looked away from his reflection and took a seat at the table. Ignazio filled 3 glasses with red wine, and Elizabeta brought a large dinner salad to the table. Silvano had barely taken one bite before Ignazio made him wish over it all. Ignazio asked Silvano how he'd been sleeping. Silvano knew exactly.
Who do we hit here?
Either he had not hidden his symptoms well enough, or maybe his sister, who
I don't know, brother.
Maybe she noticed the curse was creeping up on him and told the family. Silvano sipped his
wine
and admitted he had not been sleeping much, but it was okay. He was using the extra time to get more work.
Nah.
The only thing that bothered him was that his
is gone, but
he said that to be funny.
Yes.
But Ignazio and Elizabeta did not laugh.
Because we could go.
Ignazio's expression was great.
Prime Catcher.
He said he'd gotten access to the local parish records, which contained information about the family going back to the 18th century. He discovered that throughout the generations, Silvano's ancestors had frequently died young, and the records said they died from all kinds of strange disorders and diseases. Things like epilepsy, fever, meningitis, dementia, various
we have no way to get this play going right now. That's the only problem.
To familial encephalitis, which is a type of brain disease. But Ignazio said he didn't think any of those things were actually
I have no
killed them.
energy switch or nothing, and this deck doesn't have it,
curse.
which it should, just in case like we had to make a play like that. But I guess it's a waste of space.
They would not put that down as the thing that killed someone. Ignazio
so we could go.
The real disease that was wiping out
We'll
members
go
of his
here.
family was some kind of rare genetic condition
Here,
originating in the brain, one that nobody had ever been able to identify. He begged Silvano to please seek help from a neurologist before it was too late. Silvano leaned back and crossed his arms. He felt betrayed, like this dinner had been a setup just to ambush him. He told Ignazio
We're gonna go here, and the next one's gonna be.
His sisters poked and prodded by doctors before invariably they still just passed away. Going to a neurologist would only cause more pain and more frustration. But Ignazio would not take
I do
no
get
for
to
an answer.
grab all these
He said
energy
he
back.
knew a
Well, not
neurologist in
all,
a
but
nearby
most
town.
of it
With
back.
a quick visit,
Next
and
turn,
if nothing
hopefully,
else, the doctor might be able to prescribe something that could help Silvano sleep even a little bit. Silvano shrugged and then
I
finished
can
his
attack
wine
here.
and
I wanted to kill
then he
this
said,
mother
"Okay, fine,
so
I'll go.
bad, but
Only if you
we
don't
can't
ask
make
me
it happen.
anything else
So
after
we're just
this."
gonna go with it.
A few days
Right?
later, Silvano
I feel like
sat in the passenger
just in
seat of
case.
Ignazio's car as
I mean, they
drove
still
on the
one-shot.
thin roads of the Veneto region,
One-shot it,
passing
but
by fields of grazing cattle, intricate Gothic
just to
buildings,
fucking
and
get it out
canals
of the
full of
hand.
clear water. The view was
I don't know why.
beautiful,
I don't know. I
but
could have put it
Silvano was
here.
too anxious to enjoy it.
I'm still getting
He did
one
not
shot
believe
with.
this neurologist was going to be able to help him, but there was still a part of
Charizard,
him
but
deep down that did hope he could be cured.
I just need to get it out of my
They
hand
pulled
in
up
case
to
I
the
get a
neurologist's
Yonode.
office, parked, and walked inside. While they checked in with the receptionist, Silvano felt like he was being watched by the other patients in the waiting room. As usual,
All I know
Silvano
is
tried
next
to
turn
ignore
I have
the curious
KO,
looks, but now it
but
was harder
I
for
would
him
want to
do.
KO something
His family's
meaningful.
curse and the trail of
right?
early deaths left behind was an open secret within this community. He could sense them evaluating him.
Oh, there we go.
He might be suffering from this.
There we
curse
go.
too.
Professor coming in clutch.
After a few
These decks should run a professor. But I don't know. I don't think so. Cause then, you know, it would be like it is hard already to like get shit going, right?
Silvano was on edge as he watched the neurologist think. The doctor said he wasn't sure.
How could I fix this deck though? Because this is
but the lack of sleep could be a result of anxiety or depression.
It's not even that old.
The neurologist prescribed Silvano
Like
a
it was
sedative.
from which
Said it won't
tournaments?
cure him, but it should help him rest.
I think
Just
it
like
was
that, Silvano's
regionals.
hope dissolved. He'd known this appointment would be useless. Feeling disappointed,
December.
stood up and thanked the doctor.
I think December
He and
7th.
Ignazio
I don't
left
remember.
the
I think it was
office
7th.
and
I don't know.
headed
So it wasn't that long ago. It's still a good deck, you know.
The show is brought to you by Progressive. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses,
But
monetary
I feel like
magicians.
something
These
could
are
make
things
it
people say
work
about drivers who
faster,
switch their
better.
car
I don't know.
insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit
He does get the
progressive.com to
KO
see
here,
what you
right?
can save.
Does he?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
No,
Potential
he
savings vary,
hits. I
not
think it's for
available in all
280
states or
that he hits.
situations.
I think.
Audible's
I think
Best
he
of
hits for 280.
2024
I'm not
picks are
sure.
here. Discover
But I
the
think
year's
he
top
does.
audiobooks, podcasts, and originals in all your
Let's see.
favorite genres.
He does.
From memoirs and sci-fi to mysteries and thrillers, Audible's curated list in every category is the best way to hear 2024's best in audio
210,
entertainment.
240,
Like a stunning new full-cast
270.
production of George Orwell's 1984.
No, his for
or
300.
memoirs
Yeah,
by Supreme Court
yeah.
Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's Lovely One. The year's best fiction, like
Yikes.
The Women by
I was
Kristen
2
Hannah,
off. 20
and
20
Percival
damage
Everett's
off.
brilliantly subversive James. Also, I personally
Yikes.
really love the Australian murder mystery called The Dry by Jane Harper. You should definitely check it out. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
Okay,
Go to
so let's see. Let's try
audible.com/farm
this.
and discover all
Because
the
I could
year's
get the
best
KO here,
for you.
right?
The next evening, Ignacio
If
was
we
in his bedroom
go-
snoring when his phone rang. Pushed the
We
covers
could
back and
go
walked to the
here.
receiver, and when he picked
Let's
it
see.
up, he heard
We could
Silvano's
get the KO
sister's
here.
frantic voice
Yes,
on
yes,
the
that's
other
KO.
end.
That's KO.
She told Ignacio
Because we go
to come
here,
over quickly,
here,
then the line went dead. Ignacio figured
here,
this must have something
and
to
then we
do with
go-
Silvano and the family curse.
we
so
go
he rushed
here,
to his car and sped over to
here,
his uncle-in-law's
here.
house.
That's KO
When he
right
got
there.
he flung open the door and raced inside.
That's
Silvano's
KO.
sister was right inside
That's
the
definitely
house in
KO,
the
right?
entryway, and her eyes were wide as she watched her brother.
That's KO.
Silvano
There we go. Good
across
game.
from her
Good
and
game.
upstairs. Silvano wore
That's a
black
good
silky
game right there.
pajamas that were totally drenched in sweat,
There we go.
and he was hunched over slightly, moving his
Yep.
arms like he was trying to pick up objects.
Bro, it just I don't understand why they
Except
trying
his
to
hands
like
were
add
empty.
Dragapult
It
so
was like he
bad to
wasn't
like
even aware of
Charizard
what he
now.
was
Like,
doing or
bro,
aware of
Dragapult
anyone
is
else in the
good
room.
with thorns.
Silvano's
Play it with
sister
thorns. I
whispered
don't
to
get why they
Ignacio
trying
that
to
she
like
heard a
mix it with
commotion in
Charizard.
Silvano's
Like,
room,
there's no
and
reason
when
to
she went
try to.
investigate,
It's too
she
much
saw
going on.
Silvano sitting up in bed
You have
doing this
Charizard
weird
to
military
evolve.
style salute.
You
And then
have
without a word, he just
Pidgeot
got
to
up,
evolve.
walked
You
right
have
past her, and marched
now
down the
Dragapult
stairs.
to evolve as
And
well.
so Silvano's sister had no idea
Like,
what
there's
was
so much
happening
going
or
on,
what
bro.
to do.
This like
Ignacio
you
reassured
know.
her that probably Silvano was just sleepwalking and so was not in any sort of danger. Then Ignacio walked over to his uncle-in-law and he kind of shook his shoulder, at which point Silvano woke up, acted very confused.
What decks would you
and then
guys want me
said
to
he'd
run?
been dreaming about packing
There's
his
like 4
suitcase.
people here, so
Ignacio glanced
I want to
from
know like what
Silvano
decks
to
you
Silvano's
guys
sister,
like.
and he told
What's your
both of
favorite
them that,
Pokemon?
it
What decks
seems
would you
like the
guys want me?
sedative Silvano
You
is
guys
taking
would want to
is
see
probably leading to
play
sleepwalking.
out.
And so because
or
sleepwalking can
we
be
could
quite
build.
hazardous, it's probably best that Silvano stop taking the sedative. Ignacio was naturally very worried about Silvano. Even though the first neurologist really had not worked out at all, Ignacio felt even more determined to find someone who could maybe help Silvano get better. But while Ignacio looked for another doctor, Silvano's symptoms just got worse and worse. He
Let's
had
go
not been
Raging Ball
sleeping well
again,
for
I
months,
guess.
and the
Raging Bolt
exhaustion was totally
again.
getting to him. In March of 1984, so about a month
Raging
after
Bolt
the
is just so good
sleepwalking
against
incident,
Charizard because
Silvano
of
tried to go
Ogre
into the
Pond.
office
So
where
is
he wore cool, comfortable clothing,
Regidrago,
acted like everything was
Regidrago
normal.
is so good against
But
Charizard
when
as
one
well
of his
just because of
employees asked him
Ogre
a very
Pond.
simple question, it
He
was
just
like
one-shots
Silvano's
it, bro.
brain
So
couldn't
it's like,
process it,
you know,
and so he literally couldn't
Charizard
answer.
has no,
And then later, when Silvano
like,
tried to just write his
Charizard
name
has
on the document, his
no
hands were
chance.
so
He has
shaky,
chance
his
of
signature
winning
looked
against
totally
it,
wrong.
but you know,
Sometimes
very
he tried to
slim.
speak to his colleagues, and the words came out slurred and totally incoherent. Silvano knew he could not continue to work like this. As much as he wanted to cling to his normal life, he knew his normal life was over. So he walked into his boss's office and quit his job. As he packed up his belongings, Silvano had to face the facts. He was dying. It was heartbreaking and
Did you
infuriating
guys
to
see
know
the?
that
Did you
he
guys
was
watch
stuck
the
with same
regionals
illness,
today?
killing his family for centuries.
Toronto regionals.
But Silvano had changed his
I had
mind
Kylie
about
winning,
one
bro.
thing. He
So
knew he was
bad.
going to die,
I thought
but
Kylie
he
was
didn't
gonna
just
win
want
that.
to wait for death.
I'm not gonna lie.
Instead, he wanted to do everything he could to try to learn about his illness, and so that maybe he could prevent other family
I really
members
thought
from
Kylie
getting
had that
this
match.
family
Not gonna
curse.
lie, bro.
Silvano hated the idea of seeing another doctor, but now he needed one.
They played
He
so
went
good.
home that
They
afternoon
both
and
did.
called Ignacio, and to Silvano's relief,
But Kylie
Ignacio
sold at the
said
end,
he'd actually already
so-
found the perfect neurologist.
It was Kylie's fault.
The next morning, a renowned sleep expert named Dr. Elio Lugurezzi welcomed Ignazio and Silvano to the University of Bologna's Neurological Institute in the bustling city of Bologna, Italy. Dr. Lugurezzi greeted Ignazio and then went to shake Silvano's hand, But Silvano, for a second,
There we go.
just stood there staring blankly, like he didn't understand what was
So this
going on.
turn we don't do
And then suddenly
much
he
at all.
snapped
So we're gonna
out
go
of it
here,
and reached out and shoved it
attach.
in. After that, Dr.
I guess
Lugaresi
we
led
give
the men
him
down a long
the
decorated
Iono.
hallway into his office.
We give him
doctor
the extra
sat
2
at a large,
cards,
organized desk and motioned for Ignazio and Silvano
but it was
to
worth
take
it.
the seats
It
across
was
from
worth
him.
it.
Then once
As
they
we
were
go
seated,
here,
he
we
asked
don't have
Silvano
the
what was going
energy,
on. In an
but we
eerily
do
calm
have
and
the
quiet
weaknesses.
voice,
So it's the
Silvano
same
said
thing
he was
again.
going to
Like this
die.
dark
He knew exactly
decks
how it was
against
going to
these
happen.
decks are just so like
Currently, he said he was
you
having
know,
trouble sleeping,
in
but
trouble
he was
just
still getting
because
maybe 2 or 3
I
hours
wish I
of
could
rest
have
a
done
night.
this,
But eventually he knew
but
he would stop
prime
sleeping
catcher, so it's
altogether,
like
and then he
yikes.
would develop hallucinations, and then
But
eventually
these dark energy
exhaustion
decks
would
is
kill him.
they're so
Ignacio leaned forward
you
and
know
explained
ruined
that Silvano's
when it
illness
comes to
actually
like
ran in his family.
you
Two
know
of
Raging
Silvano's
Bolt,
sisters had
Reggie
died from this
Drago,
condition, so had
all
his
of
father,
those decks that
grandfather,
run
and
Ogre
various
Bond,
ancestors
because
going
all
back
you have to
more
do
than
is
2 centuries.
put an energy at the
Dr.
beginning.
Lugaresi eyed Silvano
Then in the next turn, all you have to do is till dance, attach energy, move to the active KO. Because this KO is anything, really.
As a sleep specialist, and so he assured Silvano they could find a treatment. But
Like
Silvano
anything on
just
their
shook
deck,
his head
he
and said
KOs
there
it.
really was
So,
no treatment. However, even though he knew
I
he
do
was
not want to
doomed,
put
he wanted to
a
try
stadium
to help his
down
family
just
as best as he
because
could. And so he
of this
asked
attack.
Dr. Lugaresi to please study him
Because
until
if he wants to
died.
hit big, he would have
After
like
he died,
I would
take
want
his
him
brain
to
and
you
study
know
it and try to figure
use
out
Francine
what this
Gouging,
curse really is.
which puts him at like
Dr.
30
Lugaresi
HP
stared at Silvano, and then
left,
glanced over at Ignacio,
and it'll be
who
easy
looked just
KO. I
as
don't have to
desperate
waste
as
that much
Silvano.
energy.
And then the
So no
neurologist
stadium
told
play
Silvano-
this matchup.
told Silvano to go home, pack up everything he needed to live at the Neurological Institute, and then come
He
back.
does KO me though, like
Then
with
after Silvano
gouging,
and
but then
Ignacio
he
left,
KOs me and then I
Dr.
KO him
Lugaresi
back,
and his team
and then I
set up a
force him.
laboratory observation room where
I
Silvano
try
lived.
forcing him to like
The room was small
a
and nondescript,
one.
and had a bed in one corner and a video camera
I don't
in the
know.
other.
One.
The video camera would allow doctors to
I don't know
record
how. I don't know how
Silvano's
we'll do it. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll see how it
Hopefully,
plays out.
this would allow them to
Yikes!
figure out
I
what
could use it
Silvano's
too.
illness
That's the
really
fucking
was.
thing. I could
Who
use it
knows?
too.
Maybe they
We
might
are gonna
be
use it.
able
I
to
don't
cure him.
care. You know what? We risk it for the
Silvano
biscuit,
returned
and
that
there we go.
evening wearing his black
We
silky
lost this,
pajamas
but
and carrying a suitcase
we
that
run
contained
4 of those,
clothes
and
toiletries.
so
As he
we're good.
stared at the
We'll be
building in front of him,
fine.
he realized this was the place he was almost
We're gonna
certainly
go.
going to die. Dr. Lugaresi met
We're
Silvano
gonna
at the
go
door
here.
and led him back to the observation room where he'd be staying.
We're gonna go
Silvano
here.
sat at the edge of the bed
here.
while a team of neurologists hooked him up to all kinds of monitors. A sensor
We
around
go
his
here,
arm measured his
here,
blood
here.
pressure. A thin
Maybe-
band
yep.
on his other arm kept track
Yeah,
of his
yeah,
body
I think that's the
temperature.
play. Because we go
Piece of
here,
plastic clamped onto his finger counted his
and we go
pulse.
here,
Lastly,
here.
Dr. Lugaresi pulled out this sort of tight, stretchy
We got another
cap
Raging
and
Bolt
told
would be
Silvano to
OP.
put it on.
Nope.
It looked kind of like a swim cap, except it was covered in small black circular sensors and cords. Silvano pulled it on, and 2 flaps of fabric hung down on either side of his face. As Dr. Lugaresi velcroed the fabric together beneath Silvano's chin, he
Do we
explained
do it?
that Silvano was wearing an electrode sensor cap.
He does have
It was there
energy
to
here,
track
so he
and
could like
record
attach.
electrical signals in
But I mean,
Silvano's
if we
brain,
put Brew
which would
Bonnet
hopefully give Dr.
in the
Lugaresi
active,
some
we're gonna go.
insight
So we're gonna
into
go.
why he couldn't sleep.
We're gonna go switch.
Silvano figured he looked absolutely ridiculous, but now was not the time to be concerned with his appearance. He was doing this to
Prime
help his family.
catcher, Brew
Dr.
Bonnet.
Lugaresi told Silvano he would be constantly
Forward.
watching him and monitoring
Do
his
we KO
vital
Brew
signs.
Bonnet? I don't
Then
know.
he turned and left.
Do we KO Brew
Silvano
Bonnet?
was all alone in his new bedroom. Silvano laid down and closed his eyes.
We're gonna go
The
here.
oxygen monitor dug
there.
into his finger, and the electrode sensor cap pressed into the back of his head. He couldn't get comfortable, especially when he knew a camera was watching him. But it didn't really matter. Whether Silvano was here or at home, he didn't think he was going to get any sleep. So he laid on the bed and stared up at the tile ceiling. But the longer he looked, the fuzzier his
Yikes.
vision
So I
got.
guess we can run
Then
2 Ogre
he
Pawn, 2
seemingly
Raging
random
Bolt, and then the
patterns on
next
ceiling
2 will
tiles
be
started to
not
morph
sure.
and shift into shapes and faces. Silvano knew he
So we
was
go
hallucinating,
here.
which came with the family curse.
We'll discard
but
this
he couldn't
too,
do anything about
and
it,
I guess
so
we
he
KO
decided
him.
He would just enjoy the show. From outside the room, Dr. Lugaresi watched a
I
screen
guess we
that showed
KO him.
data from
I don't
Silvano's
want to.
monitor.
He's not like,
On the screen,
know,
a series of lines
my God,
spiked,
but
dipped, and flattened out, depending on the electrical signals in Silvano's
I've
brain.
forgotten
Dr.
to look
Lugaresi
at my
watched the screen,
freaking
getting more and more confused.
I've forgotten to
Data
look at
from
my
Silvano's
prices
brain did not
on
look
my
like anything
you know on
he
my
had ever
deck to see
seen.
what I have
People
priced.
typically
So
had one electrical pattern when they were awake, and another quite different pattern.
I don't
when
think
they
I have
slept.
it. I have had the
But
chance, have I?
Silvano's results
Yeah,
didn't match
I
the
did.
program. He was in some
I did
kind
have the
of
chance.
in-between state, not awake, but
I had
not asleep.
2 chances
Dr.
to do it,
Lugaressi
to
watched
check,
through the
and I
window
didn't.
as
Which
Silvano moved his
it's
arms
stupid
up
on
and
my
down
end.
over his head. It looked like he was going
I do
through the
need
motions of combing his hair, except
another
his hands were empty and
earthen
his head
vessel
was
because I
totally
can
covered in
earthen
marks.
vessel
Whatever
KO.
was going on, it was not typical.
So I need another earthen vessel because earthen
Silvano
vessel.
would eventually fall asleep.
Nah, I don't
but only for
know.
an hour.
I don't know if I have
When he woke
another
up,
switch.
Dr. Lugaressi
I don't know
checked
this
his
deck that
various
much,
monitors.
so
Silvano's body temperature was abnormally
I'm still new to like
high,
how
his
it's
breathing was
supposed to be
irregular,
played.
and his heart rate was erratic. Dr.
So I don't know.
Lugaressi
I don't know.
glanced
I don't know.
at his
I don't know what we can do here.
He
We
looked
just. I guess we
as
just go with the
confused as he
flow.
felt.
Okay.
Dr.
Okay.
Lugaressi didn't know what any of these symptoms meant or how they might be related. He realized
Okay.
that solving this mystery might be a lot harder than he anticipated. One morning, about a month into his stay at the Neurological Institute, Silvano sat upright in bed,
Do I
staring into space.
go?
Over the past few weeks, his mind had
Do I
begun
go
to
here?
deteriorate. He spent almost all of his time in that in-between
Yikes.
state where he wasn't quite sleeping
Yikes.
or quite awake. Without regular sleep,
We do
every
switch
day
though.
kind of bled into the next one, and so Silvano
I guess
lost
we
track
do
of time.
switch.
He would look around the
So we're
hospital
gonna go
room,
here
try to
first,
ground
see
himself
what
to
we do.
figure out what was going on,
We go
but
here,
he couldn't
here.
get his eyes to focus. Sometimes
There we
Silvano
go.
was vaguely
There we go,
aware of
honey.
Dr. Lugaressi asking him some questions,
There we
but
go,
the doctor's
honey.
voice sounded garbled and far away.
That's a
That
KO
morning,
right
as
here.
he
That's a
sat
KO
awake
right here, my
staring at
brother.
nothing,
That's a KO right
Silvano
here, my
actually
brother.
started to feel tired. And just as he thought he was finally going to get
Yeah, we're gonna go
to
for the
sleep,
KO. I
his
don't
head
care.
just
I
jumped right
don't
back up.
care.
And then he felt tired, and so he
Then we
started
go
to drift
switch.
off, but then again, his head snapped back up. It was like his body was actively
Right? Yeah,
rejecting
that's a
sleep.
KO. Any day.
Frustrated,
Any day.
Silvano pushed himself out of bed with his weak, shaky arms.
Then we
Then he just
go.
began shuffling around
No,
the room,
poke gear.
no idea where he was trying to go or what he was trying to do. It took
Okay,
all of
we're
his
good. We're
strength
good.
to put
We're
one
good.
foot in front of the other, but it was better than
Looking
trying
good.
to
Looking good.
sleep unsuccessfully.
Looking good.
As Dr. Lugaressi watched Silvano pace around in his room, the doctor decided he had to do something to help. He went into the room.
As long as we don't get
led
Iono'd here,
Silvano back over
we'll
to
be
his
chilling.
bed.
And even if we get
Once he was
Iono'd,
sitting
our
down,
Henny's not that
he
good.
injected
I
him
mean,
and set
the
him
energy here, but
As soon as he did,
we're gonna get rid of
Silvano's
it
pulse
either
and
way.
blood pressure plummeted.
he
almost
does get the
felt
KO here though.
Dr. Lugaressi's
if
stomach dropped.
He does attach
Sedatives
the energy.
had sent Silvano into
But
a coma.
he didn't
Panicked,
get
administered more
SATA,
medication
so
to
I
undo
think we're
the
good.
effect
I
of
think
the
we are good.
sedative, and these medications did bring Silvano out of the
Not sure,
coma
not sure,
and put
not
him back into that
100%
kind of
sure, but I
trance-like
think we're
state he
good.
was in. Dr. Lugaressi didn't know what to do. Silvano had always told him that there was no cure for this
Ooh,
fatal
my
curse,
God.
and Dr. Lugaressi
Oh
really
my
wanted to prove him
goodness.
wrong. But now, after a month of monitoring Silvano, the doctor still could not give him a proper diagnosis, let
Is
alone
that it?
help him get better.
That's his turn.
Dr. Lugaressi
That's another
was
KO
really
right
starting to
here.
feel helpless.
That's another KO right here, my brother.
Another month later,
KO.
Dr. Lugaressi sat next to Silvano's bedside.
So we're gonna go
Silvano was
here,
practically comatose, a totally blank expression on his face,
here.
until out of nowhere, he wrapped his arms around his legs and started
That's another
screaming
KO.
as
I
loud
mean,
as he could.
shit.
To Dr. Lugaressi, it
Mm.
was like all of
I'm
Silvano's
gonna go
pent-up
here. We're
pain
gonna
and
attach for
frustration
turn.
was now finally just coming out. The worst part was, this seemed to be the last bit of
Let's see what we
energy
have in
left
our-
Silvano. Over the next few weeks,
Just in
Dr.
case
Lugaressi
we get
watched as
KO'd.
Silvano
I don't know.
became
I don't know
less
what will
and less
happen.
aware of the world around him.
Let's.
He quit eating, he quit moving, and so Dr. Lugaressi knew Silvano was dying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it.
Yeah, we're gonna get KO'd here, so we're gonna play
Silvano passed
fast,
away
just in
laboratory
case, we get KO'd.
Just as he'd predicted.
And then
he
I don't want to
died 9
pause
months after
because
that
we do
night on the
get
cruise ship
we do
when he
one
first
shot it,
noticed
so
symptoms of the family curse developing.
we
Dr.
just go
Lugaressi kept the
there.
promise he'd made to
Then I
Silvano.
guess he concedes right here.
Immediately
He doesn't
after
have a
he
way
died,
back,
the pathologist removed Silvano's
and I have
brain,
a way to
and
one shot
discharged
anything
to
he
a
puts
neurological
forward. All I
specialist
need
in
is
America.
one. I have
What that specialist
balls.
discovered in
I have
Silvano's
Pokemon
brain
catcher. I
shocked
mean, I have
Dr.
anything. I have gaming in right now,
The
unless I get
thalamus is a
Iono'd.
small walnut-shaped structure
But if I get
located in the
Iono'd, he
center
won't
of
be
the
able to
brain.
build up.
It helps us process sensory
Yeah,
information.
so
It plays
he
a vital
he
role
plays
in
SATA.
consciousness and maintaining regular
I
sleeping
guess he puts the
and
energy
cycles.
here, energy here.
Silvano's
Oh, no.
thalamus was full of holes.
I would have put
It
energy
literally
here,
looked
energy
like
here.
worms had just
Try to
bored right through it.
find a switch with
Large
Pokestop,
portions of his thalamus
and then
had just been
switch.
totally destroyed.
Maybe
Dr. Lugaressi
attack,
had never
hoping
seen anything
you'll
like
do
this
enough.
before. In fact, this was a new disease, and it would be named fatal familial insomnia.
that's game. Do we end it? Do we end it with
published his findings, detailing Silvano's illness and introducing his family's curse to the scientific.
Okay, so we're gonna go here.
Based
focus stop. I want to get like energy in there.
Dr. Eventually determined fatal familial insomnia is caused by malfunctioning proteins.
Okay, let's just.
Which attack
I was gonna be a dig. I was gonna retreat, Raging Bolt, finish the game with Raging Bolt because you know it's a Raging Bolt deck. But we didn't even have to, bro. Like that's a good thing about.
Literally, they cannot sleep.
Ogre Pawn is so good.
Eventually causes death.
In the meta.
Chances of the average person developing fatal insomnia are about 1 in a million. But in Silvano's family, where the disease had been passed down genetically through generations, chances.
Ogre Pawn is the ultimate
Silvano and his
what do you call it? Ultimate support Pokemon.
Suffering from fatal
it's just so good.
In the world.
So like this deck, I kind of went with this deck. I kind of went like the same route as you would with like Regidrago. Where's Drago at? I don't want to play. I don't want to play Drago. I've seen so much Drago today. It's like I don't want to play Drago no more. This towards Drago. Where's the other Drago? Drago right here. Like, you see, Ogre Pawn, bro. Ogre Pawn is elite, bro. Anywhere. Bro, and Executor, bro. Executor 1. Hey, I am new to TCG. What is the best deck? Best deck right now is Drago. This deck right here. This is the best deck right now. I could put it in the comments. You could copy it. I don't know if I can put it in the comments or in the description, but I could put the deck list. Let me see. Exports. Let me see if I can put it in the description so you can copy it and paste it.
This episode was written by Karis Ellen Posh Cooper. Our editor is Heather Dundas. Sound design is by Andre Plus. Coordinating producer is Sophia Martins. Our senior producer is Alex Benedon.
Let me see.
Our associate producers and researchers are Sarah Vitak and Tasia Palaconda. Fact-checking was done by Bennett Logan. For Ballen Studios, our head of production is Zach
What am I
Bennett.
doing?
Script editing
Let's
is
go
by Scott
Discord.
Allen and Evan Allen. Our coordinating producer is Matub Zaire.
Let me go
Executive
here.
producers
Let me
are
try to
myself,
put it in the
MrBallen,
description.
And Nick Witters. For
Hold
Wondery,
on, give me
our
a
head of sound is
second.
Marcelino Villapando. Senior producers are Laura Donna Palavoda and Dave Schilling. Senior managing producer is Ryan Lohr. Our executive producers are
You only have the starters ones.
Louis for Wondery.
Yeah, I mean you could add me. You could add me on Discord. The same. The username is the same as my YouTube.
Hey Prime members, you can binge 8 new episodes of the MrBallen podcast 1 month early and all episodes ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. And
Yeah, it's just, my Discord is the same as my YouTube, and I could help you. You know, like on a voice channel or something, and yeah, I could help you out, like building a deck, and like I could kind of coach you if you want to. I'm 100% down for that. It gives me experience, and yeah, I do have experience, but you know, like experience coaching wise. Let me see if I can do that. I'm not sure if I can.
A seductive cocaine dealer who desperately wanted to be part of the Hollywood elite. Together, they were trying to break into the movie industry. But things took a dark turn when $1 million worth of cocaine and cash went missing. From Wondery comes a new season of the hit show
Yeah, it doesn't let me, but
The Cotton Club Murder. Follow Hollywood and Crime, The Cotton Club Murder on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of The Cotton Club Murder early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Hey Prime members, you can binge 8
I
new
do have
episodes
decks
of
on
the
my
MrBallen
Discord.
podcast 1
On my
month
Discord
early
channel,
and all episodes
on my Discord
ad-free on
server,
Amazon
I do
Music.
have decks.
Download the Amazon Music app
So
today.
if you ever want
On a hot
to,
summer day in Illinois, police officers made their way through a big field.
you can
out
add me
in
on
the middle of
Discord, and
nowhere.
I'll send you the
Pushed
invite
aside
to
the
the
grass,
server,
see and hear
and you can
flies
use the
buzzing
decks
around
on
them.
there.
And then suddenly, the officer at the front of the group stopped, crouched down, and signaled to
I don't know
the
if it'll
others.
let me send an
Finally
invite
found
here.
one. The other officers rushed to him. When they got there, they all just stopped and stared down at the dead young man.
Let's see.
The cops knew
Invite.
something like this was going to leave
Copy.
the people in the small town nearby in complete shock. But they had no idea what this discovery would lead to, because this dead young woman in the field would soon help solve a murder that had taken place across the border in Indiana. And lead police to a cold-blooded killer who'd been on the
Let's
run
see.
for
I don't
2
know
years.
if that'll.
But before we get into that story,
Oh, there we
if you're
go.
a
Yeah,
fan
it
of
works.
Strange,
The link
Dark, and
works.
Mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right podcast because that's all we do. And we
But that's the
upload twice a
Discord.
week, once on Monday,
That's the
and
Discord
once on Thursday.
server. I still gotta
if that's
fix it.
interest to
There's
you,
still stuff
please
I gotta
remove
fix,
all of
but
Buttons deodorant stick
yeah.
from its container and replace it with cream cheese. Okay, let's get into today's story.
There's still stuff I have to like fix, but yeah. There's gonna be like decks on there and stuff like that.
The show is brought to you by Progressive. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive
The starters, you have
Casualty
Charizard though, right? Like when you start off, I think you do. When you start off, you get Charizard, a Charizard deck. I'm not sure.
Best of 2024 picks are here.
I'm not quite
Discover
sure.
the year's top audiobooks, podcasts, and originals, and all
I'm
your
not sure if you
favorite
get
genres.
Charizard. I think
From
you do
memoirs
though.
and sci-fi to
You get
mysteries and
Charizard with
thrillers,
the
Audible's curated list in every
like the
category
dog.
is the best way to hear
I forget the name of
2024's
that.
Best in audio entertainment. Like a stunning new full cast production of George
I forget the
Orwell's
name of
1984, heartfelt memoirs like Supreme Court
hold on,
Justice
let's see.
Ketanji Brown Jackson's Lovely One, the year's best fiction.
I think you
like
get
The Woman
Charizard
by Kristen
with
Hanna,
paired
and
with
Percival Everett's brilliantly subversive James.
Arcanine.
Also,
Yeah, I
personally
think that's the
really
deck
love
you
the
get.
Australian
Like when you
murder mystery
first
called
join the
Dry by
game,
Jane Harper.
you get
Definitely
this.
check
You
it
get
out. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
Pikachu
Go to audible.com
and stuff like that.
and discover all the year's best waiting for you.
There's a couple like good decks when you start off. I think you can make some happen.
On the afternoon of Saturday, September 6th, 1997, 19-year-old Brooke Baker typed furiously on a computer in the journalism department at Vincennes University in the small college town of Vincennes, Indiana. Brooke looked at the words on the screen and she felt a rush of excitement. Writing was her favorite pastime. She was a journalist and editor for the university newspaper. This felt different because Brooke was writing the most important story she'd ever worked on.
What decks would
She
you
finished
want?
writing the opening paragraph, read it over
Brett,
a few
what deck?
times, and
Like
then
what deck
exhaled.
would you want me to
This was a
build?
great start. And she'd
or
secured a
play
major
with?
interview in a few days that she knew would make this story the talk of the entire campus when it was done. Brooke loved the idea of having a story that she wrote be talked about by students and faculty. She was only a sophomore, but she already had clear goals for after graduation. She wanted to move to New York and become a writer for the highly prestigious Rolling Stone magazine. But to make that happen, she really needed experience writing major stories like the one she was
You let
working
me know
on.
and I'll build the deck, bro.
But in truth, it wasn't the attention or potential accolades
Or if I already have
that
it
made
built,
Brooke
you
want to
know,
become a
I could play with it.
professional journalist. She believed that good reporting and good writing could really make a difference in the world, and that it could genuinely help people who needed
Water.
help. And so
Which
that's
water?
why
I
she
have,
chose to write this story in
there's
the first place, and why she was now willing
Shen
to spend the
Pao.
weekend alone in the journalism department.
There's
Brooke looked down at her watch and saw it was already 3 p.m. Later than she realized.
Shinpao Lapras.
So she put
I
notes in her
don't know.
backpack
That
and
like I
got
was
ready to
messing with
leave.
this
But
to try to
before
make
she
it
left,
work.
She checked her school email. She
Kendra
opened up
is
the first
also
message,
like
and immediately
okay.
she felt a pit form in her stomach. Then she glanced all around the room,
yeah.
where she thought maybe somebody was secretly watching her. And then she logged
Let
out
me
of her
see
email,
Shenpao.
slung her backpack over her shoulder, and
Let me
rushed
see
out of the
Shinpao.
room. Outside, she saw a young man named Steve Hoffman standing by the door with a huge smile on his
Let's see
face.
Shinpao.
Brooke had long, light brown hair with blue eyes, and today she was wearing jeans and a baggy t-shirt. And Steve thought she was one of the prettiest girls he'd ever met. They'd gone out a couple of times, and Steve hoped they would start going out more often. Brooke smiled back at Steve and apologized for keeping him waiting. He said it wasn't a big deal, that he'd only been there a couple of minutes.
Shinpao? Okay.
But then Steve noticed the worried look on Brooke's face, and he asked
Let's
if
go with
everything was
Shinpao.
okay. Brooke said, yep, everything's fine. She was just stressed about the story she was working on. And then before Steve could ask any more questions, she took Steve's arm, and they began walking past all the red brick buildings that lined the campus. It was a warm day, almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and a group of students were reclining nearby on the grass, soaking in the sun. The campus was always calm and beautiful around this time of the year, and just walking outside with Steve relaxed Brooke, and so she put the email she had just read out of her mind. A few minutes later, Brooke and Steve
Let's
turned
go
away
with
from the
Shen
center
Pao.
of campus onto a small street that had several fast food restaurants.
Great
on it.
ball. Who plays
Not far
great
away,
ball?
they could see a bridge that stretched all the way across the
I
Wabash
guess.
River and led into the state of Illinois.
I guess we go
on the
great
other
ball.
side.
Huh?
Brooke and Steve walked into a sandwich place, grabbed some food, and sat down. And before long, they were talking about school and also their shared love of movies. And then at some point,
Okay,
as
so that's
casually as
good.
he could,
We
Steve
go
asked if
set
Brooke
active.
maybe wanted to come back to his
We
apartment.
play Shen
later
Pao.
that
Let's
night
play Shen
and
Pao.
watch a movie. He said his roommate was going to be out, so they'd have the place to themselves. Brooke told Steve that that did sound fun, but she already had plans. So maybe they could hang out and watch movies next weekend. Steve said that would be great, and then they
Oh,
talked
Brad,
some
if you
more
want, you could
and
add me
went
on
for
the game,
lunch,
and we could
then before long, they
we
left
could
the
run a
shop
game.
and began heading back to campus. And after walking for a little bit, it was time to part ways, and so Brooke thanked Steve again for
Oh, wait.
lunch, and then she walked past the journalism department building and crossed the street to her house. Brooke
Brad,
had
do you
chosen
want
this
some
small red wooden
Shilling
house to
Rain
live in during her sophomore
codes?
year because it was so close to the
I'll give you
university
some
building
codes
where
from
she spent
Shilling
most of
Rain.
her time, the journalism building. She also chose it because she could afford to live there by herself. Brooke loved spending time with people, but she also loved having a quiet place to write without any distractions. But tonight was not going to be one of those nights where she wanted total silence and peace because she wasn't writing.
This is my
Instead,
my
she was
end game
going to a party.
name. I'm gonna
So
my
Brooke went
screen
inside her
name.
house, she dropped her backpack on the floor, and then headed to her bedroom, where she began
That's
digging
my-
through her
that's my
closet and laying out
in-game
clothes
name.
to figure out which outfit she was
Yeah,
going
if
to
you want
wear for the fun
some
night.
Shilling Rain codes, I could give you some right after this match.
After midnight on September 7th, so about 9 hours after Brooke
Okay,
met
so we're
Steve
gonna
for
go
lunch,
here.
Brooke danced to the music blaring through a small house located just off campus. The party she was at had been raging for a while, and Brooke was having a great time. You know, she'd been really stressed about the story, and this was a good chance for her to blow off some steam. Brooke grinned at the tall young man dancing next to her, and then she wrapped her arms around his neck.
God,
His
we
name
don't
was
have a
Tommy
way to
Williams.
switch.
He looked at Brooke just the same way that Steve did. He thought she was totally beautiful. And then Tommy asked if she wanted to get out of there with him. Brooke nodded and said, yeah, let's go back to my place. And so the two of them said their goodbyes to some friends, and then they left together. The two walked for a
guess.
few minutes through
I
town,
mean,
and
shoot.
then eventually cut across the campus, which was empty except for a couple of other
Gonna go
students
here.
wandering home after a night out. Brooke and Tommy had just passed the journalism department and had begun to cross the street to Brooke's house when suddenly bright headlights lit up their faces and they stopped walking. Brooke turned and saw a
If
campus
we get to
police
go
officer
here,
sitting
here,
in his vehicle
he
on the
doesn't
street.
KO it,
Brooke
we
grabbed
can get
Tommy's
another
hand
Shen
and
Pao.
told him to walk fast.
and we don't put this one in
The two
jeopardy.
crossed the street the rest of the way, and they approached Brooke's house. But before going in, Tommy asked Brooke, like, "Hey, what's going on? It's just a campus
That's
cop.
turn,
He's
I
most
guess.
likely just out here looking for drunk students.
Couldn't do
We're
much.
Okay, we're not going to get in trouble."
Be right back.
But Brooke would say that the guy in the vehicle was not just a campus cop. He was also her landlord, and he totally creeped her out. She told Tommy that she'd caught her landlord a few times watching her through her window. And not long ago, she had gotten out of the shower one time and walked out of the bathroom wearing nothing but a towel, and he was just standing there in her apartment. She had screamed at him and asked, what are you doing here? And he said he'd just come to spray the house for bugs. He said it was his right to come in whenever he needed because he was the landlord. Tommy couldn't believe it and said that was totally insane. And he told Brooke that she really should go tell the police, like the actual city police, not the campus cops, because this guy sounded legitimately dangerous. Brooke nodded, but said she really just didn't want to talk about it, at least not right then. And so she grabbed her keys out of her purse, but before she could unlock her door,
I'm back.
behind them, both she and Tommy heard the sound of another car
Oh,
coming
shoot.
down the road, and
Okay.
slowing down, basically right
So
behind them, out
we
of
don't
the
have
road.
Menifee either,
But when
so
Brooke and Tommy turned around, the car sped off. Tommy didn't get a good look at the car, and so he just asked Brooke, like, hey, who was that? Who would be pulling up in front of your house and then speeding off?
he does
in the middle of
retreat
the night?
next turn.
Brooke just shook her head.
Retreats,
She didn't say
Charizard
anything,
play.
but she actually did recognize
So
the
we
shape of
are
Tommy. It was
losing
Steve's.
right now.
Brooke secretly wondered if maybe Steve had
Like,
just
right
been
now
waiting
we're
by her
losing.
house on the off chance she might want to go hang out. Or if maybe he had been following her since they ate lunch together that afternoon. And so between the email she got before she left the journalism department, the campus cop parked in front of her
So we're gonna
house,
go
and Steve
here, here.
driving and lurking around her house, it had been a really weird day. But still, Brooke was having a good time with Tommy.
Okay, so we
She
can
didn't want
go
any of that other stuff to ruin her night. So she opened the door and led Tommy inside.
here. Oh, I forgot. It's the first turn.
At 9
So
p.m.
I
that
put
night,
this one down for no
20th
reason. I
hour
just never
after
just
Brooke
did
and
all.
Tommy
Like
went
this is my
inside
first time
Brooke's
using this
house,
deck.
Brooks' brother
So that was a
knocked on
stupid
Brooks'
play.
door and called
That
out
was
to
a
his sister.
stupid play right
Siblings
there.
were supposed to have gotten together
Probably
that
the dumbest
afternoon,
play I've ever
but Brooke
done.
hadn't been home when he came by. Back in 1997,
We
cell
don't
phones
go red
were
candy,
not
right?
nearly as
We don't have
prominent
red
as
candy
they
in
are
here?
now,
Oh, yes, we do.
Brooke and her brother didn't have them. And so Brooke's brother had tried calling her
We
home
go
on the landline
there.
phone a few times throughout the day, but she hadn't answered. And so now he had just come by her house to make sure she was okay. And so the brother knocked on the door one more time and waited.
We
a
do
few
get
minutes,
KO'd by
but he didn't
Charizard
hear
next
anything
turn.
Inside, and, the door didn't open. Finally, he just
But
reached
it's
into his pocket,
okay.
pulled out his keys, and used the house key that Brooke had given him for her place, and he unlocked the front door. Once he stepped inside,
Yeah, we get
he
KO'd by
heard the sound
Charizard, so we
of water
can
running
put
in the
Fast and
bathroom.
Dippity down now.
Figured Brooke must be taking a bath or a shower,
Right,
so
we
he
go
shouted
here,
out to let
put
her know
Fast
that he was
down,
there.
fill up the bench.
Again, nobody
I
responded.
could have like Ditto was the wrong
Brooks' brother
play.
walked
That
down
was
a short
my
hallway
fault.
towards the bathroom, continuing to call out to
I
his
don't get the
sister.
KO
But
here
when he got
at
down the
all.
hall, he saw the bathroom door was wide open, and so was the shower curtain, and Brooke wasn't in there. He walked into the bathroom and went straight to the bath.
So what we can do
When he
is
did, he was
we
just
can go here,
confused. The water was
try
flooding
to
the bath,
pull
and
another
several wet
energy
towels
maybe.
were
Oh yes,
laying
we're
in the
good.
middle of
We're
the
good.
tub.
We're good.
He turned off the water and then walked out of the bathroom
Right.
and headed down the hall towards Brooke's bedroom.
We're good.
He knocked, but got
No,
no
it's
response.
60, 60,
So eventually he opened up the door and
120,
walked
180. We
inside.
only do
Right
180.
away he turned his head,
Yikes,
because
dude.
the lights were on in the bedroom, and his sister was totally naked, asleep in her bed, and part of her body was exposed. And so Brooke's brother immediately said, I'm so sorry,
It's,
and
I
he shielded
mean,
his eyes.
shoot.
And as he was
It is
standing
what it
there,
is.
he didn't hear his sister kind of reacting to his presence.
If by any chance
and
we
he knew
can
his sister
build
was
him up.
actually a really heavy sleeper, and so without
Oh, wait.
looking, he sort of walked over
We
with his head
could
turned
have,
and was starting to cover his sister up with
but
a blanket,
then
to keep her warm.
I would have to
But as he
retreat.
did, he stopped because something just didn't seem right. He's not looking at his sister.
No,
he can hear
fuck it.
her, or more
I could have,
specifically,
I
he can't hear
could have
her.
made
He
that
can't
play.
hear her breathing. So finally,
I
the
could
brother
have
just
made that
turned
play. I
and
could have
looked
went
directly at his
Red and
sister and also the
Green
wall of the
Ninja,
headboard. He just started shaking
1-1,
uncontrollably.
1-1 right here.
Then a moment later,
He
he
would have
turned,
been.
ran to the kitchen, grabbed the phone.
He would have
and
had.
dialed
I mean, but he
911.
still had PG Charizard play. I guess, bro. I guess.
A few minutes later, Detective Greg
It's
Winkler
good though.
of
It's
the
good that we
Indiana State
get him this
Police
low
pulled
because
up to
then
Brooks'
we could
white
make that
wooden
Greninja
house,
play.
parked several feet
where we
away
get
from
the
ambulance that
energy,
was already out front.
Greninja,
The town of
and then we
Vincennes had a
do
really small police
90,
department, and so anytime
90,
there was a
90
violent
somewhere
crime
else.
in the town, the state police were called. But that really didn't happen very often, and when it did happen, these violent crimes almost never occurred near the college campus. And so Winkler had been very surprised when he got this call. He stepped out of his car and looked up and down the street. It was basically empty, and so Winkler was clearly the first cop to have arrived at the scene. So Winkler walked over and introduced
Oh,
himself.
no.
And even though it was pretty dark out in front of the house,
Oh, no.
Winkler could
He
tell
gets-
the young man had been sobbing.
He does. He
Winkler
goes here. He
eventually
can
asked
kill
Brooks'
Greninja.
brother if he could please
Yikes,
explain what
man.
happened.
Holy.
Brooks' brother told the detective that he and his
Yeah.
sister were
Or
going
he
to
could
meet
go
up that
here.
night,
I
but
think
hadn't
he
been
might.
able to
He
get
might.
in touch with
He's
her,
gonna go for
so
one of
that's why
these
he came
two.
by her house. Then he told Winkler about how he let himself in with his own key, and then also what he had
Yeah, I
seen in
think
the
so. I
bathroom
think he's gonna
before
go with that
seeing the
play.
video. Detective Winkler thanked him and asked him to please keep waiting
Huh.
outside. Then Winkler walked into the house and found
Brett, are you there, bro?
standing by Brooks' bedroom door. They informed him that the young woman had been dead when they arrived. Winkler nodded and walked into the bedroom.
Oh shoot.
He saw Brooks' body laying on the
Okay.
bed, and right away he lowered his head.
Oh my God.
He was
No.
an
No.
experienced
No.
homicide
Okay.
detective.
No. Okay.
That did not make a scene like this any easier to deal with. Winkler could see
We do
immediately that there was blood spatter
120.
on the wall behind the bed.
Right.
He
We
got
do
closer to the
120.
body, and he
Yeah,
saw
we do.
multiple
We do
wounds
120.
on Brooks' neck
Okay.
and chest.
We're
There was
gonna
also
go.
blood on the
We do
sheets, as if
120.
she had suffered wounds on her
We're gonna
back
make
as
it
well.
worth it,
Then
right?
Winkler
We're gonna go
noticed the bruising
here.
on her inner thighs. The detective would have to wait for the forensics team to arrive, but so far, to him, based on what he was seeing, this looked like a violent murder that had followed a sexual assault. Winkler felt angry. The victim was basically still a kid. I mean, one look at the pictures and decorations in her room made that obvious. He walked into the hall, ready to search
And
the
then we
rest of
just
the house.
discarded
but he saw that
one.
several local police and state forensics officers had
That's
just arrived.
KO right there.
One of the Vincennes PD officers was Detective Bob Dunham. The two men greeted each
He
other.
still gets the
They had
one
worked
shot
together
KO
before.
next turn because he
Winkler turned
uses
around and led
Duck
Dunham into
Snore,
Brooks' room.
Duck Snore
Dunham
Charizard
looked at
play.
the body and the bloodstains on the wall.
But
He had the same thought and felt the same anger as Winkler.
yeah, I got rid of
Someone most
PG,
likely had
which
raped this
you
young
know.
woman
Okay,
and
so
viciously killed her.
Brett, you gotta be quick. I'm gonna try to
A
put
few
the
minutes
code.
later, the detectives left the bedroom.
I'm gonna try to
and
put the
began to
code,
search
one
the
of the
rest
codes
house.
down
They started with the
right
bathroom,
now.
where those
You
wet
gotta
towels
be
were laying in
quick
the
and
bath.
get
then
it.
after that, they went to the kitchen and they
So,
found a sink filled with
if
water
you don't get
with
it,
several knives soaking in it.
yeah.
Durham called out to one of the nearby forensics officers, who then quickly came into the kitchen, and they all agreed at least one of those knives in the sink could be a murder weapon. So the forensics officer bagged up all the knives as evidence. After that, the detectives continued their search of the house, and they didn't find any sign of forced entry, and also they found Brooks' purse and some cash just laying out in the open. So from the looks of it, this didn't seem like a crime connected to a
There you go.
And not long after the detectives
What
had
is
done
that
their search
about
of the
this
house,
deck?
the forensics team that was also at the house
Shoot,
determined
I don't
that
know,
very
bro.
likely
I'm
Brooks
trying
had
to.
been
I
sexually
guess
assaulted
like
before
the
being
energy
just
drawing
like the detectives had thought.
side of it,
The
because I can
forensics
only draw
officers
2 at a
also
time.
pulled DNA samples
Like that's the
from
only
Brooks' body,
issue I've seen,
from
like
fingernails,
drawing
and
2
also
at a
the blood
time.
on the wall, and they informed the detectives that they would have
I don't know how they make it
information about
work.
what happened to her
Not gonna
after
lie.
processing a rape kit. And so to this point, the detectives felt like they sort of had a good amount of information.
I
about
don't know.
what
I don't know how they
very
make it
likely
work. I don't know how they make
rape
this deck
followed
work.
by a murder. A horrible thing, but relatively straightforward. And so the detectives
Because we can
believed
go
they were looking
here,
for a
here,
man,
here.
maybe a current or ex-boyfriend who Brooke knew well enough to let into the house, because again, there was no sign of forced entry. Or if it was not a current or ex-boyfriend, they believed they were still looking for a man, but one who just
Well,
happened to
we
have
do
his
have
key
this.
to this house.
So like now
Winkler
we
stepped
KO.
outside and found Brooks' brother
We go
standing with a group of
Rodon.
officers. Winkler walked over to him and
Rodon
asked him to
PG,
give him a
right?
more detailed timeline of exactly where he had been that day and also the night before. And Brooks' brother laid it out for him. When he wasn't trying to track down his sister, he had mostly been hanging out with friends. Now, the police would obviously have to follow up with his friends
we go
to
here.
confirm his alibi, but for now, they took him at face value.
Yeah, I think we do
Then
go
Winkler asked
Rodon
brother
PG.
if he knew of anybody else, friends, family, anybody,
And then we
who
go
might
here.
have a key to his sister's house. Brooks' brother thought about it and then said he was pretty sure he was the only family member who had a key. And then he also
And then I
said
did get
he did know Brooks' landlord
KO'd
also
last
had a key.
turn, so we're gonna go.
He
Wait,
told
we're gonna go
Winkler
here
the landlord was
first.
a campus cop named
Here.
Mike Nardine, and he knew that his sister could not.
Since we got
steal.
KO'd last turn,
Winkler asked
we're gonna
why.
go.
Was he just like a bad
Stop.
landlord or something?
Oh, you got it.
Brooks'
There we
brother
go, bro.
said it was way
I'll
worse
send
than
another
that.
one in a minute.
He said Mike used to watch his sister through the windows, and one time he'd even let himself into the apartment unannounced. At this point, Brooks' brother looked right at Winkler, and the detective looked back and could see how angry the brother was. So Winkler, sensing there was more here, asked the brother, is there anything else police needed to know about this landlord guy? Brooks' brother just nodded. He said he was almost positive her landlord, Mike, had offered to let Brooke keep her rent money in exchange for sex.
Okay, so we're gonna go that route. We're gonna go here, damage, and we're gonna go. What do? We go here, and then what else do
The
we
show
do?
is sponsored by
Do we go here?
I still get excited
Right?
when the holiday months
I
roll
feel like
around.
that's what we
Seeing
should
my
do.
kids' faces when they notice
We
that
go
first
there,
snowfall
there.
never gets old. And there's no better feeling
Yeah,
than the
I
warmth
think
you
we
get
should.
when you're sitting by the fire.
We go there,
How do
there.
you stay cozy during the winter months? For some, wrapping up in a blanket with a mug of hot chocolate or watching a movie with family is the best way to spend the month of December. But also, therapy
It's
is a great way to
good.
bring
Like
yourself
as soon
some
as you
comfort
get like
and it goes
energy
away,
in the
even
Discord
when the
pile,
season
it's good
changes.
because you
Having a
get
designated
superior
time, place,
energy
and a
retrieval
qualified, objective
in
person to
play.
focus
Like
on
right now,
what
I
you're
can
going
go
through every week
here.
is an
Both of the
absolute
body
game
puffins can
changer.
go,
And if you're thinking of starting
and I'll be
therapy,
good.
give BetterHelp a try.
I'll
It's
get energy
entirely
back.
online, designed
That's
to be
what.
convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can
Yikes.
switch therapists
Okay, so no
anytime for
good.
no additional charge.
We got a node.
Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MrBallenPod today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
We do get KO'd here.
As we get into the
But it's okay, it's
winter
one
months, there's a lot
price.
to remember. I need to get the gifts for the family, the
And then
gifts
we
for
also
the
get to
friends,
we also
travel
get to
here for this holiday. We're bringing this to this party. Don't get me wrong.
to draw.
Holidays are a wonderful time of year.
And then if we do
Sometimes
draw
you
one of
wake up and
these,
just start to
we
feel
put
a
it
credit
here.
hangover. Take the headache
and
out
draw.
of building credit.
Oh
fast
my
with
God, I
Quick, the
forgot.
#1 credit building app in the App Store. Their plans
Who
start
do
at
we
just
bring
$5
up?
a month, and there's no
Dito.
credit check, no hidden fees, and no interest. Before I became MrBallen, my
And
credit
now
was
all
not
we have to
great.
do is
My wife
take
and I were
one
just trying to
price.
make ends meet and
Like
take care of our
that
kids,
was.
and so we didn't
What is
make
your favorite
great
deck?
decisions
My
with our money.
favorite
If we'd
deck.
known about Kickoff back then, it would have been very helpful.
Ooh, that's hard,
Because
bro.
Kickoff helps build your
My
credit
favorite deck.
fast. If your credit is under 600, you could jump like 28
Would
points in
have
your
to
first month.
be.
Sign up in minutes from your phone. No credit check, cancel anytime. Worry less about
That
your
is not
credit
OP.
and enjoy the holidays more with
Sodark.
For a limited
Sodark is
time,
probably
get
one of
your
my
first
favorite
month
decks.
free. Go to
That ain't OP.
getkickoff.com/MrBallen today. Again,
like, I mean, it is good. It's not meta, but it's good. It's just you have to do a lot to like get it working, you know.
Must sign up via getkickoff.com.
If I get a boss here, right? Yeah, if I get a boss here or something,
subject to approval, average impact of
would be good.
increase in first month based on Equifax
Or if I could bring that.
For kickoff customers with starting credit below 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024.
What do we do
Payments
here?
and credit activity outside kickoff
Here we
can have
go.
an impact on
Here,
credit. Terms and
here,
conditions may apply.
here,
Offer subject to change. Individual results may
there.
vary.
Would that be KO? I'm not sure.
A couple of days later, Detective Winkler and Dunham met with Mike Nardine, the landlord. Brooke's autopsy report suggested that she had been murdered.
Yeah, that's KO.
Midnight on
That's game.
6th, or in the early
There we
morning hours of
go.
September 7th.
We just beat
And
a
detectives
Charizard
learned
deck,
that
brother.
Mike, the landlord, was
We
working
just
on
beat
campus
a
around that
Charizard
exact
deck,
time,
brother,
and
with
not
Chen
far
Pao.
from Brooke's house. Mike walked into the small interview
There we
room
go.
at Vincennes Police
That was
Department and sat down
AGGs.
across from the two detectives. Right away,
I got
the
you, yeah.
detectives could
I'll
tell
play Photo
that
Arc.
Mike was angry. He made it very clear that he did not understand why they would drag a fellow officer in for this kind of interrogation. But Winkler and Dunham assured Mike they were just trying to
There
get
we
a clear
go.
picture of what
Chen
happened.
Pao beating a
This didn't seem
Charizard
to
deck.
make Mike any happier, but he did answer the
It felt good
detective's
too.
questions
I
about
mean, it was
his
bad at the
relationship.
beginning, like drawing energy
He told them
wise,
that he
but
was her landlord, and
after
they
that,
would
it was
talk
good,
from
and we
time to
made it
time
shaman.
when he was doing work
There we
on the
go.
house or collecting the rent. When there was a pause in the conversation, Winkler just asked Mike straight out if he had ever spied on Brooke when she was in her house, or if he had ever told Brooke she could exchange sex for rent.
So we're gonna go. We're gonna put it at Chen Pao.
He said none of that happened, and if he ever showed up at the house unannounced, it was just to do work that had to get done. That was it. At this, Dunham spoke up, and he told Mike, okay, that all makes sense. And then Dunham asked if Mike would submit to a polygraph test and also provide a DNA
So we're
sample.
gonna go Photo
Well,
Arc.
if Mike was telling the truth, DNA and a polygraph were the easiest ways to prove that. Mike continued to just glare at
Oh,
the
that's
two
you right here?
detectives,
There we
but
go.
he agreed to both requests.
That's you.
So Dunham and Winkler excused themselves and walked out of the room, and they quickly arranged
I'm gonna
for a
send the
polygraph
other
test
code right
and also
now.
sent an officer into the room to swab Mike's cheek for the DNA sample. And a little while later that day, after Mike had taken the polygraph, the detectives thanked him for coming in and told him they would follow up if they needed to. Mike just shook his head and walked out of the room. Once
You
he was
hear,
gone,
Brad?
Winkler and Dunham joined the polygraph
So I can send the code?
examiner, and the examiner reviewed Mike's test right in front of them, and he told the detectives that the results were inconclusive, which meant there
Let me
was
know if you're here so I
definitely
can send the
a chance
code.
that Mike had lied on several questions, namely about his relationship with Brooke. Investigators knew it was going to take some time to get the test results back for Mike's DNA sample, as well as the DNA samples that were taken from the crime scene. So while they waited, they spent the next several days interviewing Brooke's friends and family to try to get as much information about the college sophomore as possible. And during these interviews, several people vouched for Brooke's brother's whereabouts on the night and early morning
Okay,
when his
so
sister's
code
murder
being
had
sent right now.
supposedly taken place.
I hope
So
you
Winkler
get
and
it, my
Dunham
brother.
did not consider him to be a primary suspect. But just about all of Brooke's friends told the detectives that there were two guys that Brooke had been seeing, Steve Hoffman and Tommy Williams, and she had hung out with both of them on the day before she was found dead. Winkler and Dunham brought Steve into the station first, and after he sat down, Steve kept fumbling with his hands and running his hands through his hair. It was obvious the kid was nervous. But the detectives didn't think that was very suspicious because, after all, he was young,
Okay.
and he had just been thrown right into the middle of a murder investigation.
Whenever you want to play, if you do,
Winkler
just
spoke
send an
calmly to
invite.
Steve. He said Steve was not in
so
any
we can
trouble,
play a match
but they
if
needed
you
him
want.
to be completely honest with them.
I would
even
be
if
down to play a
whatever he had
match.
to say might be embarrassing or might make him feel like he was betraying Brooke's trust. Steve nodded and said he would tell them whatever they needed to know. So Winkler started by asking how long Steve and Brooke had been together. But right away, Steve said he and Brooke weren't really dating, they were just friends with benefits.
Let
They
me
had started hanging
know.
out with each other recently,
You got it?
and they had
Okay.
had sex a
There's
few
another one
times,
coming.
But Steve said he really liked Brooke, and he really hoped that their relationship would become more serious over time. Then Dunham asked point blank if Steve had slept with Brooke that past weekend, but Steve said no, he hadn't. He said he met Brooke for lunch on Saturday,
Third code
asked
coming
if she
in?
wanted to meet up later that night at his place, but she said she already had plans. After a pause, Dunham leaned in and asked Steve if his lunch date with Brooke was actually the last time he had seen Brooke. And at this question, Steve sort of froze and began to stammer like he couldn't make a sentence, but then he finally said, after their lunch, he had just gone back to his apartment and his roommate, Brian Jones, could vouch for him. Dunham nodded and asked if he and his roommate Brian were both at
Let's see
the
what we can do to
apartment the
fix
whole day.
Soda Arc.
But Steve said that Brian had gone out later that night.
We don't
so
need
Steve at
4,
one point
do we?
was at the apartment just by himself. And at this point, Dunham just said, "Okay, take a deep breath, and I want you to answer the original question. Was lunch the last time you saw Brooke?" At this, Steve shook his head, and his face turned bright red like he was totally embarrassed. And he told the detectives that on the night after he and Brooke had gotten lunch together, he had driven to her house and actually parked his car nearby.
So
He
we
knew
don't
she'd
need
gone
Force
out that
Seal.
night.
We're gonna start
He
using
thought
this
maybe when she got
this
home,
V-Star.
she might want to hang out with
Did
him.
it? You got it?
But
Okay, bro.
around maybe 1 a.m. or so,
Let me know what you
saw
get.
Brooke walk up to her door.
You gotta
with
restart
a
the
note.
game to
When he
be able
saw
to get
this,
the
he felt
packs.
this
So you gotta
immediate
restart your
rush of
game
jealousy
and
anger,
open it.
And for a second, he drove
So when
right
you
up
go
in
back
front of her
in,
house
you'll get the
and then
packs.
sped off down the street. Dunham and Winkler
No
looked
problem,
at each
bro.
other, as if they kind of knew that this was a
At
big
one point, I
moment
was
in the
new
interview.
to the game as
Then
well,
Winkler
so
turned back
I
to
understand
Steve and leaned
how
in.
it is.
He asked if Steve had been angry enough about seeing this other guy to maybe go back to Brooke's house later to confront Brooke about the other guy. Maybe they got into a fight. Maybe things got out of control. At this point, Steve began to get visibly
How can we
upset.
make this
He
deck
said he
worth
never went back to the house. He
our
really liked
time?
Brooke, and he would never hurt her.
Right?
He had just been stupid and jealous, and that was really it. The detectives let Steve collect himself, and then after a few moments, Dunham asked him if he would provide a DNA sample. And at this, Steve did not hesitate. He said he would do whatever they needed if it would help them find Brooke's killer. Later that week, Winkler and Dunham met with Tommy, the other guy that Brooke was seeing before she was killed, and the interview went pretty much the same way the interview with Steve had gone. Tommy said he and Brooke periodically went out together, and yes, they had slept with each other a few times, but they were not in a serious relationship. Tommy said he and Brooke had been at a party together that Saturday night, and they had gone to her house, and they had had sex. He said he left not long afterwards, maybe sometime around 1:30 in the morning, and then he walked around campus for a while, and eventually ended up going to his friend's apartment and crashing on his couch. Now, this part of Tommy's story did jump out at the detectives. Tommy could be telling the truth here, but there was a gap of time when nobody would have seen him, so he had no alibi. And that was more than enough time for him to murder Brooke, dump those towels in the bath, put the murder weapon in the sink, clean himself up, and then head to his friend's place. And so the detectives asked Tommy to submit a DNA sample, and he said he would. And then after Tommy had given that sample, the
What
detectives
way do
told
we
him that
go
he could go
from
but
here,
that he
right?
needed to stay in
Like,
town.
I need to make it better because
A
I've
few
had the
weeks into
issues like
investigation,
I didn't get the best
DNA test
cards.
results from the crime scene.
Yeah,
and
you
also
start getting
results
the
from
best
rape
cards
kit
like
came
at
in.
like the more
Both
you
provided a DNA sample with
get
high-level
like
leads
the more
belonging to
codes
Brooke's
you get
killer.
from that set,
But soon after
you
that,
just start getting
DNA
better
test results
cards,
came
and then
in
you
from
get like
Brooke's
this
landlord, Mike,
coins
and
up
from
here
the
to
two
like
guys
be
who
able to
had been seeing
buy
Steve and
cards and
Tommy.
build the deck
But
you
none of
want.
their DNA was a clear match to the samples taken from Brooke's body and the crime scene. Now,
So,
this
yeah.
did not necessarily mean that, now Mike, Steve, and Tommy are all innocent.
Shoot.
But it did mean
I'm trying to
that
think,
police
like,
did not have
where's,
the kind of scientific evidence that would hold up in court.
Support Pokemon,
So
we gotta
investigators
play
didn't
here
feel
to
like they
make
had
this
enough
deck
to arrest
good.
any of their top 3 suspects.
Which I don't know.
And these test results felt like a major setback for Winkler and Dunham. They had become convinced that one of the DNA samples they had secured.
Okay, I guess we're gonna run it like this, right?
So now they had to
We might as
totally
well
refocus their
run it like this.
investigation and start looking for potential leads that maybe they had overlooked. And as is often the case when a terrible crime takes place in a small community, police began getting lots of pressure from local media, city leaders, and
But I
close
do
friends
have to
and
remove
family
this.
to solve this case quickly.
There.
At around this time,
And then
Winkler and Dunham made their way across the university campus towards
which,
the journalism department. It was hard for them to describe, but even the campus felt like
what
it
do
was
we
full
do
of
here,
tension
right?
in this case. Like nobody could
like what
relax
support can we
because they feared
play
they might be
to
the next
help
victim
us
because whoever did this had not been caught yet.
to help us
The
with this
detectives
deck,
entered
bro?
the journalism department,
Like,
walked down a long hallway lit with bright fluorescent lights, and found their way to a small office.
Let's
that was
go
cluttered
here
with books.
because if I get, whenever I
In the
get the
office
drill,
was
I
one
can
of
go
Brooke's
tum tum
journalism
and I get both of
professors,
them.
who also served as
Maybe.
Brooke's advisor, and she welcomed Winkler and Dunham, and then she
Oh,
sat
drawing.
down at her desk.
That's the problem with this
The
deck. Like
detectives thanked
the
her for meeting with
draws,
them,
whenever
then
you
Winkler got
like,
right into
it's
it.
not as
He asked her if
fast
she had any rivalries between
and
Brooke and maybe other journalism students.
what do you call it?
He
It's
told
not
the
as
professor
fast
that at this
and
point, the police were looking for anything that might
consistent
point them in the right
as
direction. Brooke's professor
good decks.
said nothing like that was going on, at least nothing
So,
that she was aware of.
That's
He said
like the
Brooke was very
issue
friendly,
I'm having with this
outgoing,
deck.
was able to get along with pretty much everyone. She was even one of those rare students who didn't fall into a specific clique and who had friends from all different groups on campus. But then the
we
professor
do have
stopped and
these
lowered
to
her
like
voice
bring
with a
up
very
if
serious
we gotta
look.
use
She told the
this. I don't
detectives
know.
that actually there might be one group of students that the police should look into. The professor said,
Okay,
right
so let's
before Brooke
try
was
it.
killed,
Let's
she'd
try
been
this,
working on a
and we'll see
story
how it
that was
goes.
going to make a lot of people angry. She was covering an alleged rape that had taken
I
place
am not
during
gonna
a frat
play.
party right out on the steps in the front of the frat house.
So you
Brooke
need
was
to
set
set up.
interview the young woman who
Yeah,
was
it's. I
accused
mean,
of
I can
returning
set up,
killers,
but it's like
Brooke had
weird
died just days
to.
before that
It's not as
ridiculous incident
fast as I would want it to be.
At this,
You know what I
Winkler
mean?
and Dunham shot each other a look. This was not anything that Brooke's friends had mentioned. So the detectives got as much information.
I mean, it's a
about the
deck I
story
built
and
like
fraternity as they
myself.
could. Then they thanked the professor
It's
again,
not a deck
left the
that
campus,
you know I
and
got
arranged
from
to search
someone.
Brooke's phone records and emails. And as they were
So,
conducting the search, they quickly discovered
it has like,
that Brooke had been receiving
you know, I
threatening
have to
emails from
use
members
it
of
multiple
this
times
fraternity the
and
entire
play
time
against
she'd
good
been working
decks
on
to
the
see
story.
what the
One
problem
of
is
those emails simply
with
read,
it and like what I could
"Story,
fix with it.
you will die."
But it is one of my favorites. Like when
This
it's
new lead
the deck,
initially gave a huge
the
jolt
the
to
bench is
investigation.
full. They
Over
all
the next
have
few weeks,
damage
police tracked
counters
down
on them.
members of the
It hits
fraternity,
for I think
directly
like
connected the story to
450.
writing,
So I
received
KO
DNA
anything.
samples from
So that means I don't
samples
even
and
need like all
and
my
they interviewed a
Pokemon
number of students
to have a
who had
damage
actually
counter on
been
them.
at the
I
frat
just
party
need
in
I think
question.
is
However, when the
7
DNA test
Pokemon I
results
think
came back
with a
from the
damage
frat
counter on
brothers,
them to
none
be
of
able
them
to
matched the
one
killer's
shots,
DNA sample. This
swords,
left detectives Winkler and Dunham
Pulse,
almost at a complete loss.
and those
Lead
decks
after
like
lead
that.
had fallen apart, and it was starting to look like maybe Brooke's killer just had no clear connection to her at all.
It's an okay deck. It's okay. It's not.
Over the next
It's
several
not
months,
meta. It's not gonna be
detectives
meta
continued
ever.
to search for new evidence and new
Because
leads, but
yeah,
nothing
there's
could
other decks that are
Eventually,
faster to set up
Houston's police department
and
determined that they didn't
and stuff
have the
like that.
resources to continue their full-time investigation.
So
So
yeah.
Detective Dunham was pulled away
Hold on.
to work
It's
on
their
other
turn.
cases.
So I'm gonna
And
send
then
another
finally,
code.
after a year had gone by
Well,
and
it's
still
their
there was no
turn.
more traction on the case, the Indiana State Police determined that Brooks' murder was now officially a cold case. On July 5th, 1999, almost 2 years after Brooks'
Let me know
murder,
if you catch it.
Detective Winkler sat at his desk looking over cases that had come
Let me know
in
if you catch
during
that
the
code.
July 4th holiday. The phone rang and Winkler answered. Detective Dunham was on the other line, and he was talking so fast, Winkler almost
Okay,
couldn't
we're good.
understand
So we go
him.
here.
But Dunham eventually slowed down and said he was at an
Here.
apartment in town following up on a missing persons call.
Yikes.
And
So
Winkler
we go
needed
here,
to get
here.
there right now.
There.
So Winkler, who trusted Dunham, hung up, got in his car, and sped across town. Winkler found Dunham waiting for him
We
outside
go
the
here.
apartment complex.
Maybe, right?
Then as
Yeah,
soon as
because
Winkler
that'll
got
be
out,
2.
Dunham quickly led him into the apartment.
That'll
right
be
to the
2
bathroom.
Pokemon.
Winkler almost could not
We would
believe
need
what he
this,
had
but
seen.
it's like
A pile of wet
yikes.
towels were right there in the middle of the
I,
tub.
I need something
Dunham
to help me
told
set up
Winkler
quick
bathwater
because I'm gonna
was
get
running
KO'd
when police
here.
arrived at the
Like
scene. Then Dunham led Winkler to the kitchen, and the sink was filled with water, and knives were soaking in it. Next, they went to the bedroom, and Dunham showed Winkler the bloodstains on the wall. The crime scene looked almost identical to the scene at Brooks' house, except for one major difference. The Vincennes University sophomore who lived there, Erica Norman, was nowhere to be found. Investigators thought there was still a chance.
do we go
Erica
Soda
was
Art or
alive,
do we
so
go
they quickly coordinated with local and state police
right?
right
Yeah,
across
I
the
think
Wabash
we
River
go
in
there.
Illinois, and they launched a 2-state search for her. But 15 days later, on July 20th, 1999, police would find Erica, but she was deceased. Her body was found
think we do Soda Art.
abandoned in a field on the Illinois side of the river.
Then we attach energy,
Back in Indiana, Winkler and Dunham met with several
and then
of
I would
Erica's
need
friends. One of them told the detectives that the night
I would
Erica had gone
need
missing,
Terrapagos
she had gone home to watch
next.
movies
I
with
would
a
need
guy she was
Terrapagos,
with.
right? Yeah,
And
Terrapagos.
when Erica's friend told them who this guy was, the detectives felt a rush of adrenaline, but they also felt a huge sense of regret. They recognized the name, and so now they were nearly certain who had killed both Erica Norman and Brooke Baker.
All right, bro. I'm gonna send you one more before
Based
you
on
start the
DNA
game. I'm gonna
test
send
results,
one more
evidence
code.
found at the crime scene,
Last
and
code for
interviews
the night,
conducted
I'm
over a 2-year
guessing.
period. Following is a reconstruction of what investigators believe happened to Brooke Baker in the early morning hours of September 7th,
There we go.
1997.
This is the last code for the night. What is my favorite Pokemon? My
Killer
favorite
sat on the couch
Pokemon,
next to Brooke. The pair was
Mewtwo.
watching TV,
Mewtwo is
but at
my
some
favorite
point, Brooke said
Pokemon.
she was tired and just wanted to go to bed.
Mew,
However, as
Mewtwo,
Brooke used to
Lucario,
leave, the killer turned and grabbed her by the arm and pulled her into kissing her.
Scissor,
Brooke
Scyther.
She didn't want to do that. Killer just jumped on top
Yeah,
of her.
there's plenty. Pikachu, of course. Pikachu is like, I guess, like everybody's. Gengar is also one of my favorite Pokemon.
And the killer was so stunned by it, he kind of sat up for a second. At which point, Brooke managed to jump up from underneath.
I'm not a basic Pokemon fan that likes Charizard. You know, Charizard is probably not even in my top 20. Charizard is okay, nostalgia, whatever, but nah, I don't know.
The whole time, Brooke tried to fight back, but she couldn't break free. And then at some point, the killer, who was on top of her, grabbed her by the throat and started choking her.
There's so many better Pokemon than Charizard.
But the killer kept choking her tighter and tighter until Brooke began to lose consciousness.
That's the problem. You see, like, he's already being set up while we're having like this issue here where we don't have nothing going for us. Like, we really have nothing going for us at this moment. So like, yeah. What we could do is, like, the good thing about this deck, we can put Gengar in danger, and he only gives them one. He only gives them one price. Plus, we can bring it right back. So like, it's the best. Like, that's the best thing about this deck, kind of, because you just put him in danger, and then it's okay, because you can just bring him right back.
They weren't sure, but they thought Brooke was still breathing. So they raised the knife and stabbed her in the chest. Now, the killer was sure she was dead.
But what I'm gonna do here is Zoroark up, right? Yeah, Zoroark up. And then if something happens, I just Jet Energy up, and then Gengar dies. That's the only reason why I have Jet Energy here, just so I can move him up. Or attack with, oh, Mimikyu. I like Mimikyu as well. Mimikyu ain't half bad. Mimikyu is a good Pokemon.
Then the killer walked through the apartment, turned off the TV, then walked to the front door. They opened it up and locked the handle from the inside, and then poked their head out, kind of scanning the street. And when everything looked clear, the killer casually stepped outside, closing the now locked
So we have nothing.
them,
Literally nothing to help us here. Literally nothing. Because he can Charizard here, evolve. Next turn he can Duskull, kill, move up, kill. Alright, we have nothing going for us right now.
At the time of
So
Brooke's
we're gonna
murder,
go here.
Brian Jones had lived with Steve, a guy who met Brooke for lunch and hoped to at some point have a more serious relationship.
Yeah, so we need to fix that issue.
So Brian had met Brooke
Like,
a few times
we need to
when
be
she'd come
able
by the
to
apartment
draw.
to see Steve, and they had gotten along well because Brooke got along with basically everybody. But
And then I
Brooke
guess
had
I
no idea
go.
that in those sparse interactions she had with him, Brian had developed an obsession with her. And so on the night that Brooke would be
I
murdered,
guess I risk
Brian
it.
went out and just kept thinking about her. And when he showed up
No,
at her
because
house
then
later
I'll be
that
wasting.
night,
Yeah,
he was
I know he's
determined
gonna
to have
find
sex
it.
with
He
her,
has
whether she
PG
wanted
already.
to or not.
So you just go
When
like
Brooke denied
this,
him,
do
Brian
30
waited
damage, and then we
for
go
her.
forward. Hoping he doesn't have a
Brian's
boss in
name had
hand.
come up in
I
Brooke's
mean,
murder
he can find a
investigation,
boss,
only in
but if he
passing.
does,
And
he's
after 2 years
wasting
went by,
resources.
It looked like he would get away with his horrific crime.
So,
But then Brian had become
Yeah.
obsessed with Erica Norman, another Vincennes University sophomore who had light brown hair and light eyes.
oh yeah, Brett, whenever you get, like, you train, you get better at the game and stuff like that. There's a site called
And on that
Limitless.
night in July of
I'm gonna type it
1999,
down,
he went to Erica's
Limitless.
place to watch movies, but then just assaulted and murdered her almost identically
Limitless.
to how he had done it 2 years earlier.
I think
at
it's
Brooke's
GG.
house.
I'm
In
not
fact,
sure.
putting
Like,
the
I
towels
think
in
it's
the bath
GG.
and soaking the knife in the sink
But
was
I
something
think it's
Brian had
limited
seen in the
TCG.
movie
I
and
think. Yeah,
But this
Limitless.
time with Erica, he moved her
TCG.
body to a field across the border in Illinois, thinking that would help
And then you can
distance himself from
find
the crime. But one of Erica's
tournaments
friends knew
there
that Brian had
to
gone
play,
Erica's
and you get
house on the
codes
night
and
she
stuff like that. Like whenever
So
you
when Detective Swinkler
you
got
win,
them
you
tracked
make
Brian
top,
down, they convinced him to provide a DNA sample.
top.
When the results came back,
Most of them are
investigators
like
finally
top
got their match
8.
to Brooke's
You
killer's
get
DNA.
codes, top 6, and stuff like that.
Brian was found
So you get
guilty of
codes
both
for,
murders and sentenced to
winning,
life in prison
kind of,
plus
and making
60
top
years
cut.
without chance for parole. To honor
Ooh,
Brooke's
what are
love
you-
of writing and her belief that journalists could
Bro.
change the world, the Indiana Collegiate Press Association established the Brooke Baker Indiana Collegiate Journalist of the Year Award, and it continues to inspire young journalists to use
Yikes.
their work
Yeah, so
to
he
help
one shot Zoroark. So we get nothing here. That's what like, yeah, we need to find like what is the issue? Like what do we need to fix? Right? Iono. I could put four
Thank you for listening
Ionos.
to the MrBallen podcast. If you like today's stories and you're looking for more strange, dark, and
Yeah, so that way
content,
you can get more
be sure
codes
to
and
check
stuff
out
like
all
that.
our studio's podcasts. They are this one,
And
of
join
course,
tournaments
the
and
MrBallen
gain
podcast.
more experience.
We also
Like
have Mr. Ballen's
in
Epic
those
Mysteries,
tournaments
bedtime
are good
stories,
because
wartime stories,
you know
and
there's
so
not
wonderful. To find those
a
other
lot
podcasts,
on the
all you have to do
line.
is search for
You're
Ballen
able to
Studios wherever you
practice.
listen to your
You see
podcasts,
every
and
single
watch
type
hundreds
of
more
decks.
stories
Like you
just
see
like the one
rogue
you heard
decks.
today. Head over
You
to our
see
YouTube
meme
channel,
decks.
which is
You
just called Mr.
see
Ballen.
stall
So
decks.
that's gonna
You see
do it.
everything.
Really
You
appreciate
see
your
everything in
support.
those tournaments.
Until next time,
So it's good to
see you.
learn, practice, and get your deck ready for in-person tournaments and stuff like that. So you know like what to expect whenever something like that comes up. And you're able to mess up, like you're able to mess up because there's not like a big prize on the line, unless they're like are the ones where they give like booster boxes or ETBs and stuff like that. I do go to those tournaments though. I do enter those tournaments. Yeah, I do.
Even when you have no time between the laundry, your laundry list of responsibilities, and kickoff, you're still ready to go with perfectly seasoned smoked sausage you heat up and eat up. Whether it's Grandpa's famous chili dogs or your famous almost forgot the potluck deli sliders, Eckrich makes every game day taste and feel like a win. For extra delicious game days, just add Eckrich.
Hey, Prime
I could
members,
get rid
you
of
can binge 8 new episodes of
the
Mr.
duo.
Ballen
I
podcast
could
1
go
month early, and
this
all
route.
episodes ad-free on Amazon Music.
Right?
Download the Amazon Music app today.
I could go this
Today's
route
podcast
and
will feature
then
3 stories about missing people that we just can't explain.
where is that
The audio from
card?
all 3 of these stories has been
I forgot
pulled
the
from our
name
YouTube
of it.
channel and has been remastered for today's episode. The links to the original YouTube videos are in the description.
Where is it? Where is it? Where
First
is it?
story
Where is it?
you'll
Where
hear
is
is called
it?
Todd Guide, and it's about a man who goes missing after leaving a party. The second story you'll hear is called 40 Years Later, and it's about a very creepy discovery on a deserted island. And the third and final story you'll hear is called Acid Trip. When help arrives on the scene of a terrible car crash,
Hey, can you try a future deck? I got you. I got you. I try a future deck right now.
But before
Give
we
me a
get into
second.
today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format,
Oh, right
then
here.
you've come to the right podcast because that's all we do, and we upload twice a week, once on Monday and once on Thursday. So, if that's of interest to you, please sneak up behind the follow button and viciously rear naked choke them. Okay, let's get into our first story
Yeah, so we can-
called Todd Guide.
We can still play this, but I think I want to play 4 Ionos. I think I do want to play 4 Ionos. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe 3-3, right? 3-3 count? Maybe?
The show is brought to you by Progressive. Fiscally responsible,
we'll see how this
financial geniuses,
But let's go,
monetary magicians. These are things people say
a
about drivers
future
who switch
deck.
their car insurance
What
to
is better,
Progressive
future or
and save
past?
hundreds. Visit
Well, right now it's
progressive.com to see if
past.
you can save.
Ancient.
Progressive Casualty Insurance
Because we,
Company
we got Raging
Potential
Bolt,
savings will
which is
vary, not available in
one
all
of the
states or
top decks
situations.
right now.
Audible's
Ancient
best of 2024
is
picks are here.
pretty good
Discover the years
because of Raging
audiobooks,
Bolt.
podcasts, and originals
But we do
from all your
have
favorite genres. From memoirs and sci-fi to
we get
mysteries and
Raging Bolt
thrillers,
here, but we do
Audible's
have
curated
our
list
bundle
of
in
every
future,
category is the best way to
which
hear
is
2024's
which
best in audio
is
entertainment. Like
a
the
really
stunning
good
new
supporter.
full-cast production of George Orwell's 1984,
Then we also
heartfelt
get
memoirs like Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's Lovely Woman,
Iron Thorns,
year's
which
best
is a
fiction
really,
like
really,
Women
really
by Kristen
good
Hanna,
future
and Percival Everett's
Pokemon.
brilliantly subversive James. Also,
Who
I
else?
personally really love the Australian murder mystery called The Drive
Oh,
by Jim
Iron
Harper. You
Hands
should
is
definitely
also
check
a
it out.
really good
Audible.
future
There's more to
Pokemon.
imagine when you listen. Go to audible.com/ballen and discover all the
Where
year's best waiting for you.
is? Do I have a Miraidon deck? I'm not sure. Let's go here. Edit deck. And then we're gonna go Ancient.
2005, Todd Guide
Where's
was 22
Future?
years old.
Future.
He lived in Michigan. He was an avid outdoorsman. He liked to go deer hunting. He
Oh no,
loved to catch
Miraidon is
trophy
in
fish,
Fisher. I
and he
forgot.
loved his family.
Miraidon is a
Routinely,
regular
after he moved out of
card.
the house, he would drive on
But-
the weekends the 5 miles
so we're
north
gonna
to his parents'
see-
house and spend lots of time with his parents and his extended family. On June 11th, 2005, Todd was visiting his parents at their
Wait.
house. He was there
Oh, right
for
here.
dinner, and after dinner,
Ancient.
he went back to his house.
Okay,
to
so we
check in
get
with his roommate,
Ancients,
who's
we get
actually his
Brute Bonnet, it's
cousin.
really good.
Following that, he
Flutter
drove
Mane
to
is
a
really
local bar to
good.
get a few drinks. At about 9:30 that night, he decides to leave the bar and walk.
Great
to
Tusk.
big
This one right
orchard
here is
where
really
there's
good.
this huge annual keg party that he and his friends would go to.
Bundle is really
He
good in
leaves his car at the
Future.
bar and he walks to this orchard.
Iron Hands is really good in
Perfect weather,
Future.
all his friends are there. He's having this great time, and he's there
Iron
all the way until
Thorns
midnight.
is really
It was
good.
getting late. Todd felt tired, so he told a couple of his friends that he was going to head home.
Koraidon is
He was gonna leave his
okay
car
in
at the
Ancient.
bar, and he was just
Then we
gonna
get
walk
Raging
back
Bolt
to
is
his house.
really good.
The area
Raging
this orchard
Raging
was
Moon
in
is
was
okay.
right near his
Rolling
home,
Moon
and
is
so he knew this area
okay.
extremely well, and it was only about a
In
mile
Ancients,
south to
then we
walk
get
So
Roaring
all of
Moon,
his
just
friends
regular,
that
not
buy
the
him, they
EX.
said he seemed
Is
totally
really he's
normal.
okay.
Watched
They
him
they
walk
go
south
together.
towards his house, and that was the last anybody
Then we
saw
get
him.
Screen Tail is really good, and like
On
Gardevoir
his walk
and
home,
stuff like
Todd
that.
would make 4 phone calls
And then
to
we get
friends and
Slitherwing,
The
Slitherwing,
last one he
which
made was at about
is really good.
12:45 in the
It's a really
morning,
good.
and it was to his friends, and
It's
he told
okay.
them
It's
that
pretty
he was
okay
in the
with like
field and he couldn't breathe.
Raging Bolt.
And they kept asking him,
But in my
"What are you
opinion,
talking about?" And all they
Ancient's
heard
got
was
it right
very
now.
heavy
Not
breathing
gonna
on
lie,
the phone.
Ancient got it.
They couldn't tell if it was his or if someone else had taken the phone and was now.
But
breathing
let's
into
find
it.
a
Then the phone cuts out,
future
and they tried calling him
a
back.
future deck.
There was no answer. They couldn't get in
So
touch
we're gonna
with him.
go.
The next day, when Todd did not show up at a family
Where was
get-together,
Iron
something he
Thorns?
never
We're gonna
would've
play Iron
guessed unless
Thorns,
he told them ahead of
maybe?
time. His family knew
Where's
something
Iron
was wrong.
Thorns
Plus, they had
with-
those strange phone calls the night
let's
before.
see.
They checked in with his friends. They
Let's
said,
see,
"Yeah, we
Iron
haven't heard from
Thorns
him."
with,
They went over to his house. He wasn't there, and so that's when they called the police. A massive search
with
is kicked
Dragapult.
off involving
I don't know where it
canines,
is. We gotta find
helicopters,
it.
and they're not finding anything. 3 weeks after Todd had gone missing, a couple was walking around this lake that was
Over here.
located north of the orchard where Todd was at that big keg party. And the wife
Let's go ranked
looked out
because
into the
this deck
water,
is
and she said
okay
she
to
thought
play in
she
ranked.
saw
I have
something
never
odd.
used
Couldn't
that. I
tell
don't know what it
was,
has,
It was just this
but
weird object that stood out to her.
it's
and
pretty
she
okay,
and
so
her
I
partner
would
walked
feel
down to the edge
comfortable
of the lake and then looked out.
playing in
At first
ranked.
she thought
And if
the
I lose, I
person
lose,
was
whatever.
swimming,
But
just kind of
you know,
bobbing up and down
it's
because
part
their
of
body
it.
position was such that their shoulders and head were totally out of the water. And so it was a strange sight, and they knew that it didn't seem right. So they called the police. Police show up, and it turns out that this person was Todd Guibe, and they were deceased.
We do not want to go
When
first.
searchers found out that it was Todd
So
Guibe in the
Paz
lake,
has
their
better
reaction
cards.
was,
Yes, they do.
you know,
It's kind of hand to hand, really,
he was
but
walking south
just
after
because of
the keg party.
Raging Bolt,
Why
they
is
get the
the
upper
lake
hand.
way to the north of the keg party? It's in the complete
But
opposite
Future
direction.
doesn't stay behind,
Also,
though.
investigators
You know.
were baffled at his body position because if he was a drowning victim, you would expect him to be
Yikes!
face
Not how we
into
want to
water,
start.
as
We
most
want to
drowning
start with
victims are.
Thorns.
But for him to be upright, shoulders out of the water, it doesn't make any sense unless there's ice in the water.
We want to start with Thorns,
There
though.
wasn't any ice
I
in
know
the
which
water.
deck this
His
is.
toxicology report showed that
This
in
deck
addition
in
to
ranked
alcohol,
is insane,
he had
bruv.
a very high dose
Insane.
of an antidepressant, something that he wasn't prescribed, and he didn't have any history of mental illness and had never been prescribed any antidepressant in his life. His body was pristine. It did not have any of the hallmarks, the bloating you would expect from being in
That's
water
insane.
for 21 days. In fact, it was concluded that it
Is
was
it gonna go-
impossible for his body to have been in the water for all 21 days that he had been missing. His autopsy showed that he had
okay, so we're gonna
almost
go
no water
here.
in his lungs, even though his death
you
was
know,
classified as an accident.
Just in
drowning.
case.
When the news broke that this was an accidental drowning, the family and friends pushed for a closer examination.
I
of this
think
case
we
because
do.
it
What is
wasn't
that deck?
enough.
Oh, this
So
is
a pathologist looked at all of the evidence and determined that at most Todd had been in the water for maybe 3 days, and he had almost certainly been deceased when he was placed in the water, which is why there wasn't any water in his lungs.
This
and
is,
potentially why he was in that position, that he
Dragapult
was
and
in
Iron
that upright
Thorns.
position. Why are we calling it an accidental drowning still? And where was Todd from the day he went missing for those 15 to 17 days before he was placed in the water?
And then we
what
leave
did
a
he mean when he was on
space
the phone the
for,
night he went missing and said he was in a field and couldn't breathe?
nah, we don't need
And
this.
what was all
We
that
could
breathing
get
in the background? Lots of question
this one
marks.
right now. We don't need this. We go here, here. That way he cannot use PG up.
Our next
right
story is
here.
called 40
So
Years Later.
you know we kind of make him stall while we get them set up. And then we go right. We go here, here.
One of the most remote
And then we
places
evolve
in the
two of
world
them.
is Buldir Island in Alaska. It's 2/3 of the way to Russia along the Aleutian chain of islands. The nearest
Yeah.
inhabited island is about 50 miles away. The weather on Buldir Island is pretty brutal. especially during the winter, and there's no electricity there. In 1944, the United States Army
And then
decided
let's
they
see
wanted
what
to
we
send
have
5
here.
of their
So we have
soldiers
2.
to
Okay, so we can make it
monitor
happen.
the weather station on
We have
Boulder Island.
2.
It was like the one thing the island was used for. And
2,
so one of the people that
1,
was sent on
2.
this assignment was a guy by the name of Bud Houston. Bud was born in Wisconsin and worked in a shipyard before enlisting in the Army in 1942. He was a big hunter and
Okay, by next turn, I hope we are attacking by next turn. Because we can grab electricity and electricity fire. Or electricity. We got it. Oh no, wait. I'm stupid. They got lazy? Why? What day is your opponent using? Well, Scavilian. Scavilian is good just because of this attack, but we could
and that would actually become their favorite pastime because there really wasn't much else to
we
do
could
so very quickly they became
try. I don't know how, because we get KO'd when as soon as we hit it, we get KO'd.
On March 3rd, 1945,
so
5 months after they've arrived on Boulder Island,
yeah.
so by now they know every square
I don't know what to do here. Because we get KO'd either way.
Around the weather station. This was something they did multiple times a week, so very routine. And all 5 of them are sitting in the weather station, and Bud says he'll do it. So Bud gets his rifle and he heads outside to do his patrol. And the other 4 are just sitting in the weather station. And after about an hour, they realize Bud hasn't come back yet. And this patrol does not take more than 20 minutes. And so they step outside to see if he's out there, and the weather at the time was very mild. You know, there's no snow on the ground, it's not very cold, it's not very windy, and the visibility this night was pretty good. And so they're looking out over the island, and the island has no trees. At the very far end, at the opposite end of where the weather station is, there's one significant sized mountain. But short of that, it's not particularly.
Do we get Crispin?
So
if we get Crispin, we're good.
They could look out over the island.
I know Arvin.
Basically
Yikes.
see everything, and they don't see him anywhere. At first, they were not that worried about it because they figure, you know,
as long as we don't attack it, we're chilling. That's like, I guess as long as we don't attack it, we're chilling. So we're gonna go attach energy here. It's not a great. This is not great. I guess we are here. I don't know like how to finish him.
A whole bunch of reinforcements came out to the island to look on foot with the other 4 soldiers, as well as planes and helicopters. And
I'll be right back.
They looked all over that island for Bud, and they couldn't find him. And you got to remember that there's very few places you could possibly even go on the island that they wouldn't be able to look and see. And so
it is ironic. I'm not gonna lie, it is ironic.
Jumped into the water or fallen into the water because there's nowhere for him to hide on the island. And so after a couple of days, they were so sure that it was just not possible for him to be on the island that they called the search off and they said he must have fallen into the water. Fast forward 40 years to 1988, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was studying birds on Boulder Island, and they made this amazing discovery. This crew had set up their camp at 1,600 feet of elevation on the one large mountain on the far side of the island, basically on the opposite end of the island from the weather station. And one of the crew members happened to just walk around one of the boulders, and they looked down and there was this little tiny crevice between the boulder and the ground, and he thought he saw something inside of it. And he got down and he looked and he realized there was a skeleton that had been kind of crammed into this tiny little tight space. And the skeleton had a military uniform on. It had been kind of balled up, but there was a uniform on what was left of the skeleton, and there was also a rifle that had been jammed down in there as well. And it would turn out to be useful.
What play do we make here? I mean, do we go
which really just meant walking
attach?
around the vicinity of the weather station. You're certainly not traveling very far. Why did he
we do get KO'd either way, bro, though.
Walk 4.5 miles to the other end of the island and then climb up 1,500 feet to the top of this mountain. But even if he had a reason to be over there, why would he then force himself into this little tiny crevice? If he was looking for shelter, well, the weather was incredibly mild. It would not have been life-threatening to be out in the elements, at least not that first night.
Let's see what we can do here. Oh, we can make this happen, though.
A little bit more time. He probably could have found a better place for shelter than this awful little crevice. But if he was at a place where he was seeking shelter under these boulders,
I mean, there's many ways to use Fisher. like and make him good. Like Miraidon is a good way to make Fisher better. There's so many ways to make Fisher better.
In an emergency situation, he would know that his responsibility is not just to survive, it's also to be found again, and to make sure you're not obscured underneath a boulder so no one can find you. This island, it was like the easiest place to be found. There's no trees, there was helicopters overhead and planes, and there's all these people. It's a small space. All he had to do was not be under the boulder 24/7. Maybe during the day when the weather let up, roll out from under the boulder, let yourself be found. But that's not what happened. What probably happened is Bud.
That was his fault. He doesn't need that in this deck. Like, he doesn't need that at all.
Almost immediately after he left the weather station to do that patrol. But logically speaking,
I wish I could have used boss. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna hold it, right? I'm gonna hold this. I'm not gonna use it because next turn we can use boss. We use boss, right? Yeah, we could use boss. Fuck. He just fuck. Fuck. It's okay. Fucking A. Jesus. I mean, we could try to attack here, boss. PG, right? That's what we're gonna do. That's the play we're gonna do. I hope we don't get a Yono because we attach energy here. Boss killed PG. So if we kill PG, right? Yeah, he's gonna keep doing that little bullshit. And then we boss PG. I think we do one shot PG right here. Let's see. Preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app. We do one shot PG, and then we can put any energy on the other Dragapult.
So our best memories from the first day of school to Christmas morning can easily get buried and lost in a group chat in a cloud, never to be seen again. But now I just send my best photos straight to our Aura frame and to my parents' Aura frame. My kids will sit at
breakfast. If he benches anything else, like I would have to keep going after whatever he benches. Because it's hard to like try to kill them, bro. Because as long as I do damage, he KOs. He one shot KOs anything. But I mean, I could do damage. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Here, I could do damage here, right?
Seeing my kids' faces when they notice that
he KOs, then I kill him with Dragapult. One shot, maybe? No, I could.
For some, wrapping up in a blanket with a mug of hot chocolate or
man.
family is the best way to spend the month of December. But also, therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort.
You know what?
That never goes away, even when the season changes. Having
Okay,
a designated time, place, and a qualified, objective person to focus on what you're going through every week is an absolute game changer. And if you're thinking of starting
therapy,
Dragapult,
yeah, I don't want to give him this because I can kill PG whenever he evolves.
And suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched
so
with a
we can
go,
go.
And you can switch therapists at any time.
Fire, electric, maybe.
Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MrBallen
put into your hand
today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
And then we go
/MrBallenPod.
Retreat. Here.
Next and final story of today's episode.
Attach energy there. Go here.
On the evening of June 24th, 1986, a 10-year-old boy named Juan Pedro Martinez Gomez bounced around in his seat and smashed his toy cars together in the cab of his father's big red tractor-trailer truck.
Just in case I don't get KO'd, I will get KO'd. Just in case, you know, we got this play. Jesus, brother. Do we go for the weak play and like?
Juan's father had surprised Juan and Juan's mom.
Right? Do we go for that play? I don't know. What would you do to change the future? I mean, you could play Miraidon with Iron Hands. Iron Thorns is really good. It's just not good right here, right now. But Iron Thorns is really good. Like, he one-shots anything right now. But then we go here. It's game. We won the game already. He's slow. He decided to get that's game.
so it could be paired
So,
up with the cargo.
yeah, we won. We won. He knew it was game.
It was this
Because we
huge
go here, kill
25,000
bench.
liter tanker that was covered in all these stickers and warning labels.
So that was the play.
And,
We
Juan's
made
father
the
didn't
right
know
play,
what
the
this
right
tanker
call.
actually contained.
There we
You
go.
could tell, whatever it was.
The damage doesn't matter. That's the only bad thing about this deck, bro. I was worried. I was too worried for no reason.
With this tanker, Juan is just sitting in the back seat, absolutely transfixed at how cool his dad is. I mean, this is like the most amazing thing Juan has ever seen. And so finally, Juan's dad successfully hitched the truck to the tanker. And so once they were all hooked up, Juan's father yelled out the window and said bye to the people.
What
he
would
worked
you
with.
change?
Then Juan's father put in Juan's favorite
Let's
tape
see
cassette
what
in
I
the
would
stereo and
change.
turned the music up, and then he turned onto the road and began.
I
making his way
mean,
towards the highway.
shoot.
Juan's dad would drive basically all night, and Juan and his mother would basically sleep all night. But they would wake up at about 5 a.m. when Juan's father pulled into the parking lot of a diner.
Let's see me ride
that was
on.
located
Hold on.
just north of the
I'm gonna
city.
see if I can find a good me ride on
They were
deck
making great time till Juan's
to
father
show you.
told his family
Me
to
ride
take their
on.
time eating. When the family did finish their meals, they got up
to
and
show
began
you like what I
walking
mean
out
with
towards
me
the
ride
truck.
on.
And little Juan, he turned around and he waved to the waitresses, and they all waved back. And then the family climbed back into Juan's father's truck. And then before long, Juan was curled up in the back seat trying to fall asleep again as his father merged onto the highway.
Because me ride on, to me, me ride on is really, 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 really good. It's not the best, but me ride on is really good. Lacey, did you pair me ride on with Iron Hands, and then you also pair with Iron Bundle, Pikachu, Latias. You know, like this. This card is good. With this, like with this, with this deck, this card is really good because you could like you could make one pricers into two pricers, which it's really good. That's the only good thing this card has. This attack is nothing, but you know, this attack you can make one pricers into two pricers, and somehow you can make two prices into one. Two prices into three prices. Let's say in one turn you attack a Pokemon with this, boom, 220. He kills you, but he doesn't retreat, and you have this one set up to an attack. You could go active, attack, kill the two pricer, and make it into a three pricer. Which, you know, now you only have to draw. Now you only have to get three prices to win the game. So that's really like OP if you know like how, if you are able to make those plays and make it happen. But they will try to whenever you have them set up, they will try to kill him. If they have a way to do it, they will try to kill him. They would definitely go for him and try to kill him.
Striking blue eyes that really stood out even from a distance. And then
so yeah, but this is the best deck for me right on.
Who was just staring daggers at this
guy
who's now talking to this nurse who's right next to him.
Arven.
The guy's looking at the old woman, and the old woman's looking right back, and she really looked mean, like she was not happy to be talking to him. And so the guy finally just said to this woman who was claiming to be a nurse that, you know what, I don't need any help. Go help them. They need help because they haven't gotten out of the truck yet. The woman just nodded, and then she ran back to the van, hopped inside, and the van sped, you know, the 100 feet down the road to where the crashed big red tractor-trailer truck was. And again, the woman hopped out, and she rushed over to the truck, and she climbed on top of it, and she reached down, and she took something out of the truck.
And we're gonna. I like this deck, so we're gonna keep it here.
The guy who had also crashed, he couldn't tell what she had taken out of the cab. But after
so we're gonna keep it there, just because I like it. I really like that deck.
She did not attempt to help anybody inside of the truck. She jumped back in the white van, and the white
we're
van
gonna play Thorn's Pult again.
And they were gone. The guy barely had time to process what had just happened before he began to smell this unbelievably powerful.
I played Thorn's Pult, or I could have went. I could have went Raging Bolt to show you Raging Bolt. I don't know if you was here when I played Raging Bolt earlier, and you know KO'd the Charizard. But Raging Bolt is really good against Charizard.
and that rotten egg smell
It's really good against
smelling in the
anything,
area
bro.
meant the air was now becoming toxic as the sulfuric
And he's good
acid
against
leaked out
Reggie
and began
Drago, which is the
interacting
best
with the ground
deck in the
and
game
its
right now.
way into the nearby river. So
With this
before
deck, this
anybody
is not what we
could
want to
go
do. We do
inside
not
of
want
the
to start with
truck to
Dreepy. We
see
want
if
to
there
start
were
with
survivors,
Iron
they had to
Thorns.
basically
Iron
cover
Thorns, you
it
put Iron
and the
Thorns in
surrounding
the
areas
spot, they
with
can't do
hundreds and
nothing.
hundreds of pounds of sand
But let's
and
say
lime
now
to
he
try to
gets
counteract the acid.
he
It would take
gets
hours to do this, and in that time, nobody came out of the truck.
like
stop.
Rotom or something.
Finally,
Like
when
he could use
emergency crews
Raiding
were able
Greninja's
to go up
ability
to the truck
because I don't have
inside,
Thorns
they
down.
discovered
But if
that
I
the
have
vehicle's
Thorns down, he
occupants
cannot use the ability
However,
because
there were
this
only
is
two
a
bodies. It was Juan's
Pokemon
mother and
with
father.
a
Juan was nowhere to be found.
what do you call it? With a Roblox or something like that.
Now, one of the theories was, well, when this crashed, maybe
But I
the
will show you
sulfuric acid
Ancient later.
landed
I mean,
on
look,
Juan's
we're going
body
against it right
somehow
now.
and literally dissolved him, and so that's why he
We
was
are
found.
losing this
But
match.
That's not possible because it would take much longer for sulfuric acid to
We are
fully
losing this
degrade
match. There's no
someone's
way we
body.
win.
And
There's
the
no
body
way we
would
win
have
this
to be
match.
fully submerged in the acid the entire time. So that could
This
not have
deck is not better than this deck.
Rescuers would search the entire area deep into the woods in all directions.
I'm glad he
looking
couldn't
for
attack
signs of this
because
child,
shit.
but there were none.
That was
And
such a
when
good
investigators
first turn.
attempted to
Like, such a
recreate
good
this
first turn.
accident to try to figure out what actually caused it and why it happened, what they would learn would only confuse them more. Juan's father's truck had nothing wrong with it mechanically, meaning the brakes weren't messed up, the accelerator wasn't messed up. There really was no reason why this truck should have crashed unless it was intentional. That's the only way.
Yeah, we're gonna have a hard time.
Also, the truck contains something called a tachometer, which registers every time the truck slows down or stops. And when investigators looked at the record from this tachometer, they discovered that Juan's father had slowed down or stopped 12 different times between leaving the diner and crashing. But the route from
Do we
the
go
diner to the
attach
crash site was a
energy?
straight shot with no traffic
Wait, do we go
lights or
attach
stop
energy
signs.
here?
Basically, there had been no
We're gonna
reason
die
from the
either
diner
way.
to the crash site to ever slow down or stop.
They
But
get the
again,
KO
Juan's
next
father
turn.
did
I
12
know that.
separate times. And then
I'm gonna go
also
here.
there were traces of heroin that were found in a hidden
Here.
compartment in Juan's father's truck. Now,
I
Juan's
don't know.
parents had no criminal
all I know
record
is we're
and
gonna lose
absolutely
this
no
match.
connection to drugs or the cartel, but
There's no way for me to
investigators
come
did
back
consider the theory that,
from
perhaps a
this.
drug cartel ambushed Juan and his family, and ultimately Juan was kidnapped. But there was one more really strange element to Juan's disappearance, and that was that white van that guy saw right after.
Like, there's
the
no
crash.
way I win this.
Multiple
There's
people in
literally
the
no
area
way.
around the Soma Sierra Mountain Pass said they saw that exact white van because they all remembered the woman and the man who had that same really bright blonde hair. It just was something that was kind of unique and stood out.
I
But
put
the
the
police
Jeepies
tried to
down
track
just
down
now.
this van and the man and the woman and the elderly woman who was also
we're gonna
claimed to
risk
have been
it.
seen inside the van, but no trace
Yikes.
of that van
That was
ever
horrible.
found.
Horrible.
And also, police were never able to
Horrible.
figure out what that woman actually
That was
saw
horrible.
inside
That was
of
we
Juan's
risked
father's
it
cab
and then
before they
it didn't
set
go
off
our way.
disappeared.
That was horrible.
Missing person posters of
Jesus.
Juan went up all over
Jesus.
space, and almost immediately
That was horrible.
loads of sightings
Because
were
we need
reported
Toad.
of Juan.
Like, we need
But
Toad
every
in
time
this
the police
match.
followed
We
up
need
on these
Toad.
sightings,
With
they never
Toad,
came
we stopped them
Interpol, which is a major international
a little
police
bit.
organization,
So we do need
called
Toad
Juan's disappearance
down,
one of the strangest
which is horrible that we
disappearances in all of
just
Europe.
messed up like that.
1 year after the crash, so in 1987, a driving instructor in Madrid, Spain, was filling out some paperwork in his office when he heard a knock on the door. When he answered the door, he found there was this elderly woman who appeared to be blind, and with her was a young boy who appeared to be about 11 years old.
So we gotta find a way to get Toad in the game. I should have played Toad first. It just, I don't know what the fuck was going through my mind.
And the driving instructor, he could
Because
hear her
now he,
whispering
like, whenever I get
through
Toad in the game, he would try
It
so
sounded like
hard to
foreign
go
language.
after
In
Toad
fact,
and
it
kill
would turn
Toad.
out they figured out she was speaking Farsi, which is the language spoken in Iran. The little boy listened to the elderly woman, and then after hearing what she had to say, he turned to the driving instructor and he asked in perfect Spanish, "Where's the U.S. Embassy?" The instructor gave them directions, and then the little boy nodded, and then he and the elderly woman, they turned around, they grabbed each other's hands, and they began walking away. And as they walked away, the driving instructor, he just couldn't help but feel like there was something oddly familiar
Let's put
about
this down a little bit. There we
so he
go.
flagged them down. He said, "Come back for a second." And so the boy and the woman, they came back. and the
So,
driving
I mean,
instructor, he
what
asked
can
the
we
boy
do
and said,
here?
"Do you live in Spain? And if you do, how long have you lived here for?" And
He gets
when
the
asked
KO
the
here.
boy this,
He
the boy
attaches.
immediately looked really afraid. And then the elderly woman, she turned and she whispered something else into the boy's ear. And then after she was done talking, the boy kind of settled down and he looked at the driving instructor and he said, 6 months. And for some reason, at this exact moment, the driving instructor realized why this boy seemed so familiar. He remembered seeing him on all those missing person posters all over the place. And so the driving instructor, he couldn't remember the boy's name. And he goes, hold on a minute. He turns and he runs inside of his office and he finds one of the posters that said Juan Pedro Martinez Gomez. He grabbed it and he ran back out to show it to them and be like, hey, they're looking for you. But when the driving instructor came back to the front door, the boy and the blind old woman were gone. And so the driving instructor, he stepped out, he's looking around, he's yelling out for them. They were gone. Now, it's important to understand that to this day, no sightings of Juan have ever been confirmed. And that includes the driving instructor who claimed to have seen Juan.
What do we do here?
But to
I
this
mean,
day, Juan's
we
body
can
has never
go
been found. He's still missing.
vacuum.
His case is still unsolved.
Crispin, because I don't know the fuck. What I know is that we lost this match.
Thank you for listening to the MrBallen podcast.
Jesus,
If
I
you
knew it
enjoyed
was
today's
gonna
stories
lose, but
and
not
you're
this
looking for more
bad
bone
though,
chilling
brother.
content, be sure to check out all of our studio's podcasts, not just this one, but also MrBallen's Medical Mysteries, Bedtime Stories, Wartime Stories.
Like I knew we would
and
lose, but not this bad,
Just
right?
search for Ballen Studios on any podcast platform, and you'll find all of them. If you want to watch hundreds more strange, dark, and mysterious stories, just head over to our YouTube channel, which is just called MrBallen. So that's gonna do it. I really appreciate your support. Until next time.
There we
see you.
go. That was good. That was good. I really didn't want to get that. Do we go here, maybe? And then I didn't check. Okay, so we're gonna go.
Hey, Prime
Here.
members, you can binge 8 new episodes of the MrBallen podcast 1 month early.
And I didn't
all
check.
episodes
I'm
ad-free
so
on
slow.
Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. And before you go, please
Because
tell
I
us about
could have
yourself
went
by
here.
completing a short survey at wondery.com/survey.
There we go here.
Now, a next level moment from AT&T Business. Say you're a mattress magnate getting ready to open a new store. You need fast internet that's
Here.
like bada bing, bada
And I
boom.
didn't check again. Oh my
AT&T
god, I'm
for
slow.
business. And business
What
is
am I
important.
thinking about, bro?
You're
What am I thinking about, bro?
customers. You're grabbing those online orders. You're slinging sleep.
I hope
Reliable network. Set it and get on with
there's
it.
no evolution for it.
AT&T
Yikes.
Care for Business. Available nationwide.
Okay, and I should have checked. I should have checked. Oh my god, that's my fault. That is my
Hey,
fault.
Prime members, you can binge 8 new episodes of the MrBallen podcast 1 month early, and all episodes ad-free.
This
on
is their
Amazon
match.
Music.
This is their
Download the
match, right?
Amazon
Like
Music app
they
today.
got this in the bag.
On a February night,
Because
in
now they know that I do
2013,
not have
inside of a secluded suburban neighborhood, a man sat down to
Toast
eat at his dining
School,
room table. when suddenly
replacement.
he heard these strange
Not
popping
replacement,
sounds
evolution.
coming from somewhere outside.
So
The man dropped his fork on the plate.
they
and
don't
ran to
care
the window
about it.
to
They
see
don't
what
want to
was going
kill
on
it.
out there,
Either way, they
but
want
there
to
was
do shit
nothing
to
out
it.
there. It was totally silent and quiet. Still, the man couldn't shake the feeling that something bad might have just happened. Maybe that was gunfire. So he called the police and he explained what he heard. And the police sent an officer to investigate, but the officer patrolled the neighborhood and couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. And so that police officer went back to the station, and that man went back to his dinner, neither of them realizing that something terrible had happened. Those noises the man heard were the sound of somebody being killed.
Okay.
But before we get
Okay.
into that story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in
Okay.
story format, then you've come to the right podcast. because
Hey,
that's
bro,
all we do.
stop
We
showing
upload
up,
twice a
bro.
week,
Stop
once on
showing
Monday
up. We know
and
you
once
got
on
it, bro.
Thursday. So if that's of interest to you, please go into the follow button's phone and
We
delete
know
all
you
of their
got
unread
it,
messages.
bro. I'm gonna
Okay,
concede.
let's
I'm
get
gonna
into
concede.
today's story.
Before he does all that BS, I'm gonna concede. He had the game. I didn't get Toast School.
The show is brought to you by Progressive. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations. They say that time waits for no one, and neither should payday. To keep your money moving in the direction of your dreams, get Earnin. Earnin is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day or up to $750 per pay period. Just download the Earnin app and verify your paycheck, then access up to $100 a day as you work and leave an optional tip. Any money you access, plus tips, are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. Earnin is designed to support you in the short term and the long term. It's money at the speed of you. Get up to $100 a day of your pay within minutes of earning it. No mandatory fees and no credit check. Download Earnin today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple App Store. And when you download the Earnin app, type in MrBallen under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. MrBallen under podcast. Earnin is a financial technology company, not a bank, subject to your available earnings, daily max, pay period max, and location. See earnin.com/TOS for details. Bank products are issued by Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. On the evening of February 20th, 2013, 49-year-old coach Jimmy McClain blew his whistle and brought basketball practice to an end inside of a high school gym in Memphis,
who do we
Tennessee.
have?
His young
We
players rushed to the
have
sidelines and
Ogre
gathered up around
Pond.
Jimmy.
If they're
Even
playing,
amongst a group
oh
of
my
basketball
God, we
players,
got
Jimmy
Ogre
looked
Pond,
big.
bro.
He was 6'4",
We have
but
Ogre
his
Pond.
long
Ogre
arms and
Pond
legs
kills
made
this
him
any
seem
day.
even taller.
You just gotta be smart
And
with
even
it.
though he was almost 50 years old, he still completely looked like he could
You
get out
just
on that
have to be
court.
smart with it, brother.
Jimmy told the kids they had a great practice, and he told them what he wanted them to focus on over the next few days.
This is an easy
Jimmy
KO.
and the other
Like if
coaches
we
had
get
led the team to a great
Ogre
season,
Pond,
but they
Ogre
all had
Pond
their eyes on a
Switch,
state championship.
another Ogre
Jimmy
Pond and
knew
a
how much
Switch,
hard work and
bro.
focus it would take to get there.
Oh my
Jimmy
God,
had
if we
been
get
an
another Ogre
incredible
Pond
high
and a
school
Switch,
basketball
oh
player
my
in his
God,
own right,
bro.
back in Arkansas where he grew up. He'd gone on to play at the University of Central Arkansas alongside Chicago Bulls legend
He knew
Scottie
he
Pippen.
lost.
And
He knew he
after
lost.
college, Jimmy actually played ball in a professional
I feel
minor league for
bad
years.
because that was
And
such
so
an easy
now the young
game right
men on
there.
his team looked up to Jimmy because of his illustrious basketball career, but also they
I feel
admired
bad for him,
because
though.
he was one of their teachers and mentors, and they knew he cared about them as people first and as players second. Jimmy just wanted them to do their best and take care of each other, win or lose. Jimmy told the team to go hit the showers and then go home and hit the books. He had a quick talk with the other coaches and then headed out to his car in the school parking lot.
How long have I been streaming? I don't know. I'm not sure.
The drive
About
home
2
took Jimmy
hours,
about
right?
30 minutes away to
Yeah,
Cordova,
I
a
think this
suburb
might
that
be
was
my
made
last
up of
match.
secluded neighborhoods filled with huge homes that had perfectly manicured lawns.
I might get on stream
Jimmy
later
had
on
lived
too,
here
but
in Cordova for
I
about
think this is my
15
last
years.
match for
There were
right
still
now.
times it felt like a different world.
I'll go
from the
first. I
small
think I'm okay
Arkansas
going
town
first,
he grew up
right?
in. But as he got older, Jimmy had really come to embrace
Yeah, I think I'm
Cordova
okay going
as his
first.
home, and he knew living there had allowed him to
Because
pursue
we
his
go
passions.
here.
Jimmy loved basketball,
We don't put
but
Mew
sports
down
was not
yet.
all that he cared about.
But
He
we
was
do
also a
get
very
Earthen
talented
Vessel,
writer,
this
and he was a
card.
devout Christian who felt a calling
I'm
to
good.
serve
I'm good
God
going
and his
first. I'm
community.
good going first.
And so during his time in Cordova,
This is good
Jimmy
about
had
Reggie
written
Drago,
sports
bro.
books
There's so much.
and
Like
become
you
a
can.
pastor
It's
at a
okay
local
going
church.
first.
Two
You're
dreams
okay
he
going
had since
first.
he was a kid. A little after
go
8:30 p.m.,
here.
Jimmy pulled onto a street which looked
Get
like
rid of
most of the other
trim.
streets in town. He drove past the driveway of his large 4-bedroom house, parked by the curb, and then hit the button on his garage door opener. Jimmy took a deep breath and watched as the garage door opened. In public places like church or school, Jimmy was outgoing, energetic, and confident. But there was a different side to Jimmy, a side that only the people closest to him ever saw. In private, Jimmy often got really anxious, and some people even said obsessive, about the littlest of things. Once
I
the
don't
garage
get
door
to-
was all the
to-
way
to
open,
do nothing
Jimmy
here,
swung
so-
his car around and backed down the driveway all the way into the
But here we
garage.
go. Here we
with
go.
his car
Next
facing
turn,
out
I might
onto the street.
need you.
Then once
So
he was parked inside,
we
he
better
pushed the
check
garage
now.
door button again, and he sat in
Just
his
in
car
case I get a
watching the
yellow,
garage
right?
door close. This order of how he would go about
Because I
parking
can make
his
a play
car
with Mew.
was something he did every single time he came home, and he never changed the routine. He would always sit there in the car watching the door until it came all the way closed. Once the door was closed, Jimmy grabbed his leather bag out of the passenger seat, got out of his car, unlocked the door that led from the garage into the house, and he walked inside. Once he
So
was
he's
inside,
going
he
guard
locked the
aboard,
door he had
of
just come
course.
through and went right to the
Well,
front
this is a
room
good
of the
matchup
house.
against me because I
There,
gotta
he
be
carefully laid his
fighting
bag
the
down on a leather
the
couch, and then
one.
very carefully placed his keys on
Is
top
it
of the
one
bag,
price or deck?
just like he did every single night.
So like I
when
gotta
he
be
got home
fighting
from
that.
practice.
But then once
After
he
all that, Jimmy
evolves
walked over to the
to.
leather couch that matched the chair that he had just put his bag and keys on, and he took off
I
his
mean,
sport
no,
coat,
because
folded it
if I
along the
kill
sleeves,
Menifee,
laid it over the
I
arm
could
of
cure
his
him.
couch. And then once that
Sure.
ritual was complete, he went towards
Game,
the
right?
front door, leaned down,
I just need to
and slid
switch
a
next
small
turn,
rug
dude.
that was in the entryway up against the
And
bottom
Menifee
of
to
the
stay
door.
in the
He
active.
would say he did this to keep the draft out. Jimmy never missed any of these steps when he got home, and he would go through them again in reverse order when leaving for work in the morning. People who loved Jimmy usually just got used to his particular habits, but they also knew Jimmy had a lot of trouble adjusting to how other people did things. And also, Jimmy really did not like to be confronted about his routines. Jimmy's phone buzzed inside of his pocket, and he smiled. Right on time, he thought. He grabbed his phone, and he read a text message from his girlfriend, Carlotta Smith. Her message said, "How was practice?" And Jimmy replied,
But this is good because he can't use this. He can use this
Carlotta
to
lived almost 3 hours away in Nashville,
he can use
Tennessee,
this.
so
He
Jimmy only saw
can't,
her maybe a few times a month. But they made sure
he
to text or
can't
call each
put
other
the-
every morning and every night. And Carlotta always seemed to know exactly when Jimmy got home from school.
Oh my god, if
Now,
you
the
put your
long-distance
main
aspect
attacker
of the
up,
relationship could get frustrating, but Jimmy couldn't
I could
remember the last
easily
time he
just-
was this happy. Jimmy was technically still married,
yikes.
but he and his wife had
Okay, so we go
separated 4 years
here.
earlier, and they had finally started divorce proceedings. But Jimmy had been slow to get into another serious relationship. Part of him still felt loyal to his soon-to-be ex-wife and her
Okay, so
2
we're gonna go
kids,
here,
who he
fuck
was
it,
a stepfather
right?
to. But when Jimmy had met Carlotta 6 months earlier, he knew almost right away that he was falling in love all over again. Jimmy slipped his phone back into his pocket, and he walked through the room, past the fireplace, and towards the kitchen, but he suddenly stopped. He thought he heard something. Jimmy stood there for a second, and then he heard the sound again. It was coming from somewhere out front of the house. He turned around and walked towards one of the windows that overlooked the front yard, but there was nothing out there, and it was totally silent.
Why?
And so Jimmy figured, he was just being anxious, like there's nothing going on here. So he left the window and headed back towards the kitchen. Then he heard another sound right behind him. And this time he knew.
Let's see,
something was right
let's
outside
see what
his
we
front
do
door.
here. The way I know here.
At 8:40 p.m. that night,
Do we
so just a few minutes after
mess?
Jimmy had gotten home, his next-door neighbor was home and having a bite to eat at the dining room table when he suddenly heard popping sounds. Now, the sounds were loud enough that the neighbor immediately stopped eating, got up, went to the window to look outside, but they didn't see anything, and they didn't hear anything.
Next
Now, the neighbor
Khalifa,
knew the sounds he had heard could
Right.
have been gunfire, but it also could have just been some kids setting off firecrackers.
Because I get
like
a
we really
Drago
didn't
next,
know.
right?
But just in case, he grabbed his phone off the table and he called the non-emergency
So-
number for the Shelby County
Yeah,
Sheriff's
well, we'll give him
and when they picked
a
up,
fresh
he
hand,
explained
but
to the operator
well,
that he just heard these loud sounds right nearby that he thought maybe could be gunfire. The operator told him to stay in his house and that an officer would be over right away. And sure enough, a few minutes later, a Shelby County deputy knocked on the
We won't
neighbor's
use
door,
another,
and Jimmy's
I
neighbor
don't
told
wanna,
him what he had told the operator. The deputy thanked him and said he'd take a look around and see if he could find anything.
Yeah,
He
we
left the
could
neighbor's
grab a
house and headed
Drago,
back
avenge
towards his
him, right?
cruiser.
right?
The deputy drove around the small neighborhood several times and did what he thought was a thorough patrol of the area. But he didn't find anything suspicious.
Yeah.
So finally, he went back to Jimmy's neighbor and told him, everything seemed fine.
Drago bench.
Then the deputy left and drove back to the station, and
Drago
Jimmy's neighbor tried to
bench.
calm his nerves and not worry too
Drago
much about the
here,
strange
here.
sounds.
Let's go. This is good.
2 days later, on the morning of February 22nd, 2013, one of Jimmy's fellow basketball coaches sat in the high school's front office across from a school administrator, and both men looked very worried. Jimmy had not shown up to teach his classes or to coach basketball practice the previous day, which was completely out of the ordinary. Jimmy almost never missed school or practice. He would rather show up sick than feel like he was letting the kids down. And he definitely wouldn't stay home
Look at
without
that
calling
route,
to let somebody
right?
know he
Yeah,
was not going to
I guess we do.
Now,
I guess we
the
do.
day before, when Jimmy hadn't
And then we
shown up,
go-
both of these men had told themselves that, maybe there had been some sort of miscommunication. That, perhaps Jimmy had
go
let
energy
somebody in the
switch.
office know he wasn't coming in, but that didn't get relayed. But now, Jimmy was gone
And
for
then
a second day in a
hopefully
row, and nobody at the school
We
had
pull the
any record of
tails.
him
If we
calling.
do tails,
And now the coach and the administrator
if we do
really
tails,
regretted not
we
doing
knock
something
out
24 hours earlier.
fuck. That's
So
not.
the administrator dialed the Shelby County Sheriff's
We would've
Department
knocked
and
Fest.
said his
That's
colleague,
two-
Jimmy
two-
McLean,
two-
had not come
two.
into work for 2 straight
Like,
days, and that was
it's-
really strange, and he wondered if maybe police could go
It's
by
okay. It's
Jimmy's
okay.
house to make sure he
We
was
get
okay.
rid of Drifloon. He
The
has
operator
another
got
one, and
Jimmy's
then he can also
address
bring it
and
back.
told the administrator
But
that an
it
officer would go to
happens.
Jimmy's
We
property
wanted
and do a
tails.
wellness check right away.
That was the play that they
A little bit later
They
that
used in
morning, at
regionals
about
today
10
to
a.m.,
win.
2 Shelby
They
County
pulled,
deputies arrived at Jimmy's house.
they put tails and then
Went up to the
killed
front door
Fez.
and knocked, but they got no response. and after a little while of just total silence,
I wanted to kill
one of the
Fett so
deputies
bad though,
tried the
because
door
that way he
knob,
wouldn't
but
be
the
able
door was
to
locked.
draw
So he called his
3
boss
and be
got
able to set
permission
up
to try to
better, blah
force
blah
his
blah blah.
way into Jimmy's house. The deputy used a simple lockpicking tool.
Because now
to
he
quickly
just
get the
discards
door
2
open.
energies.
And once it was, he and his colleagues stepped inside, and immediately they called their
He,
boss back.
he discards that energy. Oh wow! You only have 1 energy down there.
Lieutenant Jason
Like, are you
Valentine
gonna
of
be
the
able
Shelby
to
County Sheriff's
discard more?
Department parked in front of Jimmy's house and approached the 2 deputies
I don't
who
know.
were now standing just
I
outside.
don't know what he
the
did.
open front
I don't know
door.
why he did that.
Lieutenant Valentine put on his gloves and greeted the 2 deputies, and then they stepped aside to let him pass. Once inside, Valentine made his
You
way to the
have
front room of
your
the house, and right
deck
away he
too
noticed a large
piled
dry
up.
blood stain on the other side of the room in front of the fireplace. And just beyond the blood,
Yeah,
Valentine
that's
saw a
2.
dead body
But I
of a
mean,
middle-aged
you
man.
put those 2 on you. You retreat.
Valentine walked over
Bring
to the body
Trusoon back
and saw that
in.
the man's face, neck, and shirt
I
were also
mean,
stained with
nah,
large amounts of
you
dried
go,
blood,
bro.
and the man's limbs looked very stiff, like rigor mortis had set in.
Still,
And so this,
I mean, you
coupled
only
with
have
all the
2
dried
energies
blood,
in here.
made Valentine think that the man had been
I
dead
don't
for a
know.
while.
I guess so.
Valentine began to scan the room. He saw in a nearby leather chair there was a bag with keys sitting on top of it, and then on the couch there was a sports coat laying over the arm. Valentine went to the
Does
coat.
he discard
reached
another
into the
energy? No,
inside
he discarded
pocket, and
Orvin.
He found a wallet with a driver's license inside of it.
And you're gonna be able
The
to
man in the
discard these
photo
2.
matched the man on the floor.
Oh yeah, he is.
It was Jimmy
So
McClain.
he has 4.
From the looks of it, Jimmy had been murdered.
I think he needs 1 more to
And
one-shot
so
us.
at this point, Lieutenant Valentine asked the 2 deputies
I'm not
outside
sure. I'm not
to enter the
100%
house
sure.
and help him do an initial search.
To be able to
And right
one-shot
away,
us, I
they
think he
noticed
needs
there was
1
a whole
more.
bunch of high-end electronics that were left untouched all throughout
But
the
that
house.
still does
And
nothing.
so this seemed to indicate to the officers that, you know, it didn't seem likely that the person who killed Jimmy had come here
Like,
to rob him.
that
It
does
seemed like
nothing.
they'd come
I
here
hope
to
he
kill him.
knows Jamming Tower is
After searching
active.
the 4 bedrooms, which all seemed
He can only
undisturbed,
put 3
Valentine
on
walked down a
there.
long
And
hallway
he would
to
he
the
would need
door that led
5.
to the garage. He entered
to
the
be able
garage
to
and
knock me
saw
out, I
Jimmy's
think.
car was parked right there inside, facing
Right?
the closed
Yeah,
garage
he would.
door.
I think he would need
But other
5.
than that, there really wasn't much to see in the
So
garage.
there's no
obvious
like,
prints,
there's no
signs of
point,
blood,
brother.
No forced entry. So Valentine went back inside
So we
the house to
boss?
keep looking. And a few minutes later, Valentine's
we
fellow
boss,
county detective, Alan Bean, stepped inside the home, and he was followed by several state forensics officers. Valentine and Bean worked together often, and so Valentine knew Bean had a sharp eye for
Okay, so we're gonna
evidence.
go.
And so Valentine right away told him that the
Here,
front
here.
door and the door leading in from the garage had both been locked when police first arrived. And so Bean turned and went right to the front door, and he found that the door itself could be locked from the inside, but if someone had left through that door, they could only lock that door by using a key. Then Bean looked at the entryway of the house, and he saw there was a rug laying nearby, but it was at a strange angle, like somebody had pushed it away from the door. Then something between the rug and the door caught his eye. He crouched down and he signaled for Lieutenant Valentine to come look too. At first, Valentine thought what he was looking at was
Wait, what
just
the
some blood
fuck?
on the floor, but Bean pointed at one particular
What the
spot.
fuck just happened? Wait,
And what
wait.
it was a small portion of a shoe print. Now, there wasn't nearly enough of a print to tell what kind of shoe or what size it
What
was.
the fuck just
But
happened
Bean
there?
hoped the forensics team would be able to use this partial shoe
Wait,
print to tell them
what?
more at some point. Now, Bean and Valentine
No.
both knew that this print could just be the
That
victim,
happens
but
nowhere.
there were no other prints anywhere like it on the floor.
What
so it
the
seemed
fuck?
like
The
there was a
game
real
just
chance it belonged
sold.
to the killer. As forensics officers began to pull the shoe print, Valentine led Bean over to the body.
Bro, there's no Pokemon
Multiple
here
40
saying
caliber bullet
that
casings
if I
lay on the
evolve,
floor
my
near the
turn
dry pool of
ends.
blood around Jimmy, and so it
What?
seemed clear Jimmy had been shot
That is
several times.
bullshit.
And so Valentine and Bean
That
came
is
up with the same
bullshit,
initial
bro.
theory. Whoever killed Jimmy likely knew
That
him
is
really
such
well.
bullshit,
The level
bro.
of
What the
violence inflicted
fuck,
on
my
Jimmy
nigga?
looked like the result of rage that often
This
accompanies
game
a
is
crime of passion.
fucking
And assuming the killer was
shit.
indeed close with Jimmy,
This game
they
is
very likely
shit.
had their own
That's all I
house
have to
key
say.
that they could have
Shit
used to
is
lock the
shit.
door on their way out.
The game is
The
shit,
forensics team
bro.
continued
Shit.
their work in the house, and the detectives canvassed the neighborhood to see if someone had seen or heard anything strange. And they found the information they were looking for at the very first house they
The
tried.
game is fucking horrible,
Jimmy's next door
bro.
neighbor told
Fucking
them that he had
ass.
called the sheriff's department 2 nights
Holy
earlier
fuck.
and he heard a series of loud popping sounds that maybe could have been gunfire or fireworks. He wasn't sure.
The game
Valentine
is
asked if
fucking
he knew what
garbage.
time that took place.
Holy
And grabbed his
smokes,
phone,
bro.
Scrolled through his recent calls and saw he had called the sheriff's department at 8:40 p.m. Now, even though Valentine and Bean did not have an official autopsy report from the medical examiner,
That was
at this
bullshit.
point,
That
they both
the
felt
game
confident
sold me,
that this
bro.
neighbor had actually heard the sound of Jimmy's murder, and that Jimmy had very
The
likely
game
been laying
freaking
dead in
sold
his
me,
house
man.
for 2 days. The detectives thanked the neighbor and then left and headed back over to Jimmy's house. There, a forensics officer waved them down and handed over Jimmy's phone that had been found inside of his pocket and bagged as evidence. And then, a little bit later that day, when Valentine and Bean were back at the station, they did a full data search of Jimmy's phone. And as they combed through Jimmy's text messages and calls, they knew exactly who they wanted to speak to first. The woman who had texted Jimmy right before he died, Carlotta Smith. Audible's Best of 2024 picks are here. Discover the year's top audiobooks, podcasts, and originals in all your favorite genres. From memoirs and sci-fi to
Yikes, bro. That is fucking horrible, man. Fucking horrible. The game fucking sold me, man.
Stunning new full cast production of George Orwell's 1984.
The game fucking sold.
Memoirs like Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's Lovely One. The year's best fiction like The Women by Kristen Hanna. And Percival Everett's
That is bullshit, bro.
Also, I
Holy
personally
smokes.
really love the Australian murder mystery called
Fucking
Dry by
bullshit.
Jane Harper.
Fucking
You should definitely
bullshit.
check it out. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen. Go to audible.com/ballen and discover all the year's
Yeah,
best.
this is game, bro. Like, this is, I give up,
Whether
this
you're
is
in your running
game.
era, Pilates era, or yoga era, dive into Peloton workouts that work with you. From meditating at your kid's game to mastering a strength program, they've got everything you need to keep knocking down your goals. No pressure to be who you're not. Just workouts and classes to strengthen who you are. So
This
no
is
matter your
bullshit.
Era,
This is bullshit.
Find
Bullshit.
Your work, find your power. Peloton. Visit onepeloton.com.
Bullshit, 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 bro.
The day after Jimmy's body was found, Detective Valentine walked Carlotta into an interview room at the sheriff's department. Valentine told her how sorry he was for her loss and how much he appreciated her coming in. Valentine wanted Carlotta to feel very at ease, as if she was just there to help. But in reality, she was already at the top of the investigator's suspect list. By this point, the medical examiner had officially confirmed Valentine and Bean's initial theory that Jimmy had died on the night that neighbor had called police, most likely not long after responding to Carlotta's text. Valentine and Bean had also contacted members of Jimmy's family, and they had learned that Carlotta and Jimmy had been in a serious relationship for about 6 months. And as Jimmy's serious girlfriend, she very likely had a key to his house, and she would also fit the profile of someone who would maybe commit a crime of passion. On top of that, a victim's intimate partners are almost always primary suspects at the beginning of any murder investigation. After Carlotta sat down at the table across from the two
We do not kill
detectives,
Drew Flume.
Valentine asked her about the final text message she had sent to Jimmy.
We don't kill it.
Carlotta explained that she tried to text Jimmy
If you kill
every
it, you're
night
slow.
when she knew he'd be getting home from basketball practice. It was one of the ways they stayed connected. while
Because,
they were 3 hours
yeah,
apart.
you're giving him the way.
After that, Valentine asked Carlotta
You're giving
if
him
she
the
had her
way
own
to,
key
like,
to Jimmy's
you
house
know.
that she used whenever she came into town. But Carlotta shook her head and
Now
said
he
no,
only
she
has
didn't.
2.
Valentine seemed very surprised. He said he thought that she and Jimmy
He has a
were
really
being
big-
serious and always stayed together.
A
when
lot
they
of
visited
cards
each
in his
other.
hand, just like me.
Carlotta said they were serious, but she actually didn't stay
Welcome
at his
back,
house for a
brother.
visit. She was a religious person, and she just
Did I
didn't
use
feel right
both of my
spending the night
bosses?
at the
Yeah, I
house
did.
of a married
Yeah,
man.
I
So she
did.
had told Jimmy that until
What's
his
up,
divorce
brother?
went through, she would stay by herself at a
Bro, this
hotel
game
whenever she
sold
came
us
to
so
town.
bad, man.
Valentine
Sold us
hesitated for a
bad,
second.
bad,
He thought
bad.
Carlotta actually sounded angry, and so he asked her if it bothered
How
her
many
that
switches
Jimmy
have I
was still
used?
married. And when he said this,
I've used 3
Carlotta
switches.
immediately
Okay,
seemed
so
like she
there's
might just
no
start
way I
crying.
can make
She
something
said it
happen here, huh?
absolutely bothered her, and she thought Jimmy was actually kind of dragging
Yeah,
his
I
feet
mean,
with
I
the
could-
divorce, and she was kind of tired of it. Valentine knew it was best
What?
to just let her keep talking, so he just kept nodding
What?
along like he understood exactly
He got rid
where
of
she was going.
all that?
So Carlotta just kept on talking. She went on a rant about Jimmy's wife and how he was still way too friendly with her and how it didn't make sense
Bro.
that this woman was still part of Jimmy's life. Finally, Carlotta trailed
Yeah, I
off,
mean,
at which
yeah.
point Valentine asked
Yeah,
her for a few
screen
more
tell,
details
yes, I
about
know,
where she
but-
had been when Jimmy was killed.
Bro.
Carlotta said she'd been at home in
What they
Nashville.
got using? Oh, I'm
Then
using
she
Reggie
said police
Drago.
really needed to speak to Jimmy's wife. The wife and her son lived close to Jimmy, and the wife just
Yeah,
did
you
not
do
seem
one
to
shot
let
me.
her
It's
go.
okay. I know, bro,
Carlotta was
but
sure
shit,
Jimmy's
that
wife
was
still
not
had a
worth
baby.
it. Shoot. Was it worth
Valentine
it?
thanked Carlotta for coming in.
I don't know. I'm
and
not
told her
sure.
she would leave.
I'm not sure if it was
After
worth
she
it.
was gone, the detectives couldn't help but feel like Carlotta had not really helped her own cause here. If she was as angry about Jimmy's marriage as she seemed, then perhaps
But the
that
game
was her
sold me.
motive to kill Jimmy.
Because it gave him.
The following day, Valentine and Bean brought Jimmy's wife, Carla
250.
McLean, and her 19-year-old son, Dwayne Moore, into the station. Valentine and Bean questioned Carla first.
But we
and
don't
she
have a
seemed
way
totally
to
distraught about her husband's death. She said he was such a
make a
good
play
man,
here, right?
loved God, and loved helping young people.
No, we do not.
It just didn't make sense that he was gone. But Bean asked the obvious question.
Oh, we kind
Was
of
there any animosity between her and
could.
Jimmy during their
Kind
former
of, right?
separation and now during their initial divorce proceedings? But Carla
We
just
kind of
shook her
could.
head.
We kind of could.
She
Let's
said that
see.
she and Jimmy were good friends. They just didn't quite work as a romantic couple. So Bean asked Carla if she still had a key to Jimmy's house, since after all, they were on good terms. Carla got a look on her face like she was searching for something, and then she said she didn't think she had a key, and if she did, she had forgotten where it was. Bean and Valentine nodded.
Yeah, we won the game, right? We did. Even though the game sold us, we did win the game.
And they believed Carla was lying right to their faces. Valentine asked Carla where she was on the night Jimmy was killed.
Even though the game sold us, we still win. Because of Radiant Charizard.
Valentine
Radiant
nodded, and then asked
Charizard
if
is
police could actually
clutch.
tap her phone
Always
and download
clutch.
her data, because this would be an easy way to confirm where she was.
This is
and
why
cross her off their list.
Reggie
Carla
Drago is so
immediately
good.
reached
Reggie
into her purse,
Drago
pulled
is
out a
so
phone,
good.
and put it on the table. She said
Because,
police could
bro,
search
you can
all
come
they
back from
wanted.
anything.
She had
The game sold us in a
absolutely
big
Bean picked up the phone and left the
turn.
room, and then Carla was escorted out.
And then we still win.
And her son, Dwayne, was brought in. Dwayne was quiet
So,
and respectful,
there you go.
but at
There you
first,
have it.
all he cared about was whether or
Reggie
not his mom was
Drago.
okay.
That is why they
Valentine said
won.
his mom was
That
just
is why
fine,
Reggie
and she'd
Drago
be
won
waiting for them as
regionals
soon as they were
today.
done. And so the detectives and Dwayne talked
Reggie
for a
Drago
short
is the
time,
best deck
and the kid
in the
seemed a
game.
bit nervous, but he
Best
was
deck in the game.
cooperative. He said he
You can
liked
come
to
back
respect
from
Jimmy.
anything,
They
bro.
bumped heads sometimes, like any stepfather and stepson would, but he thought, Jimmy was overall a good man.
Reggie
No
Drago
idea who would want to
is
hurt
the
him.
best deck in the game.
Dwayne said he did not have a key to
It
Jimmy's
totally
house,
is.
and that on the night Jimmy was killed, he was at home with his mom. Valentine thanked Dwayne
Right,
for coming in, and then led him to an
Brad, it was a
office where
pleasure,
photos
brother.
were taken.
I'm gonna give you one
A
more
little
code
bit
before
later,
I get
Bean
off. I'm
informed
gonna be back
Valentine
later.
that all the data on Carla's phone had been gathered up, and so the detectives gave Carla her phone back and told her and Dwayne they were free to go. It would take a while for Bean and other investigators to go through all of Carla's
are you
text
there?
messages and phone calls, and so while he waited,
you there,
Valentine
Brad?
got back in touch with a few of Jimmy's family members, and they all said the same thing about Jimmy's wife, Carla. Her relationship
Are you
with Jimmy
subbed?
was not
I don't know.
nearly as good
I
as
don't know
she
if you're
wanted to
subbed to me. Did you sub?
In fact, she and Jimmy had been fighting recently because Carla wanted him to sell his house
Let
and
me
give
see.
her
Did you
half
sub,
of the
Brad?
profit as part of their divorce.
Did you
After
sub?
talking to Jimmy's family, Valentine
Yeah,
called the
okay,
detective
brother.
into Carla
You did
and Jimmy's
sub? Okay.
financial records, and he found a
Let's
huge
go.
red flag. Carla was the beneficiary
There you go.
of Jimmy's life insurance policy.
I hope that's
And so
did I?
between that
Okay,
policy and the
19.
potential
Okay.
sale of the house,
There you
Carla
go,
stood to
brother.
make hundreds
Thank
of
you for the
thousands of
support, man.
dollars now that Jimmy was dead. So at this point, the
Thank you for the
detectives
support,
had two
brother.
women, Jimmy's girlfriend and his wife.
Let me know when
who
you
were
get
very
it.
strong suspects. Jimmy's girlfriend could have murdered him out of anger or jealousy about his marriage, and his wife could have killed him for the money. Over the next couple of days, investigators revisited the crime scene and conducted more interviews, trying to find anything that would directly connect Jimmy's girlfriend or wife to the murder. Then Detective Bean got a call from a forensics officer, and this officer sounded like he had just hit the jackpot. He told Bean they were able to create a reconstruction of the sole of the shoe that left that muddy footprint inside of Jimmy's house. And this shoe was a size 10.5 men's shoe, which was not the size shoe that Jimmy wore. Then the officer said,
Bro, we
the
only have
forensics team
a
had
couple of
actually worked
games
directly
left
with
until
Nike.
we hit
They were able to
Arceus.
determine that the
Just
shoe
couple
was a
of more.
Nike Air Force
Just
One
couple
high
more
top,
games.
a
Couple more
favorite
games.
among young basketball players. Bean hung up and rushed over to tell Valentine the news. And they
Oh,
both
Joe
felt
already hit
exhilarated by
Arceus.
it, but also totally confused. This was a huge
And Slack
piece of
also hit
evidence,
Arceus.
but it undercut the theory that one of the two women in Jimmy's life had killed him. Neither
Alright,
Carlotta
Brad.
nor Carla wore that size
Have a good
shoe.
night, brother. I'm gonna
So
be back
detectives
live
thought that
probably
this
in
piece of
about
evidence
an
seemed
hour and a
to
half,
somebody
maybe.
on the high school basketball team that Jimmy
You're gonna get
coached.
off for a little bit, clear the mind, and then I'll be back live in about an hour and a half. So, turn notifications on so whenever I go live, you get them. Join in. Tell your friends.
Not long after learning about this
show
shoe,
support and stuff
Bean
like that.
Valentine
I'll be giving
headed
out
to Memphis,
codes
Tennessee,
to the
interview
people that
students
sub and
faculty
show
at
support.
the school where Jimmy taught and coached.
But alright, man.
Right
Thank you, bro.
away, things took
Have a good night.